Three, two, one. Oh shit! No, not quite yet. Three, two, one, and go. Welcome
Bring us
back
in.
to another episode of the GGHL podcast. We're going to go do a trade deadline preview here and figure out who should be the best buyers and sellers.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I'm here with myself, Drew. We got Moo, we got Byron, we got Angus, and we got. Is that everyone? Am I missing someone?
Joe.
Oh, we got Joe. Sorry,
How
sorry,
could
Joe.
you?
Hi,
I'm
Joe.
Hard Joe.
sorry.
You
Yeah.
pass him in the standings and just immediately disrespect
Forget
him as much
about
as
him. You know, I
possible.
beat him.
Forget about it.
Speaking of, we're gonna go top down in the overall standings, and so that means my Montreal Canadiens are up first.
Ooh, you're a cool fucking what? Fuck
Look
you.
at that. I mean, I was the one that determined the what's the. That's why I asked. All right, so let's see.
Sellers.
Metric wise, I have them as the top offense, sixth in defense, 11th in net minding with a 903. There we had a really awesome December and a pretty awesome November because we've lost 3 games in regulation.
I feel like top offense is like an understatement for Montreal right now. It's like I feel like it's by offense it's like Montreal power gap right now. They're killing it. Everyone on this fucking team is kind of lighting it up now.
I have 4 point per games players. I want to say.
Fucking Leonov. I kind of wish you'd extend Leonov because I would have paid him out the fucking ass.
It's true.
You have you have D-men shooting 8.6, 10.3%. Like
San Vito shoots the most in the league for what it's worth.
that's
I do have a
nice.
high shooting percentage. I'm fourth in the league with shooting percentage with about a 1.4% shooting percentage more than average.
Crazy.
Okay, so
It's something to keep an eye on, but like it's difficult to tell what is luck and what is talent. You know.
no, it's not. Come on, stop being modest. Team is stacked. Gonna break your own goals record
Again.
again for the third straight season.
I didn't break it last year.
Oh, you didn't. You
I
just
was
won the
like so
cup.
close,
Oh,
right?
you were
you
just so
fucking
close.
loser. Only a cup? Oh, you suck.
Uh, re- repeat fully intact, like the likelihood of you making at least the Eastern Finals, right? Like
I hope
to
for
be
that. Yeah.
to be expected. The big addition of Ottinger just solidifies everything you could possibly need. Um,
Ottinger's an 895, guys.
it, it, yeah, but if you ever need a guy to step in for like say three games for an injury to your starter in the playoffs, that's
It's true.
Yeah, let's
LDT
say
did win the
you're.
Stanley Cup last year with because he was the
for
one
for
that played the
sure.
last game. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
true. He's literally a cup winner. Yep.
Finances are in good shape. You're right up against the cap, but you've got the guys walking to be able to add back again next off season.
Yeah, I'll have like 30 or so million ready to go next year.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, three of the top, or two of the top three players in the league for shots on goal are on Montreal. San Vito's first, Lafitte is third.
Yeah,
Then Leonov is 10th, and Alger is 11th. So,
and I want to say Lafitte, Leonov, Alger, San Vito. They don't all play in different lines, but they play on 2 or 3 separate lines.
yeah, I know Alger, San Vito is a pairing, right? That's like one of
No,
the
it's
best
not.
pairings in the
It's
league.
San
Oh
Vito,
no,
Matichuk, and Alger Kozyrev.
you got the X Blues pairing. I see. I
Yeah,
see.
I did that just for that very reason.
Out of spite, hell yeah.
All right, so
uh,
the only additions I think I might need is maybe a depth defenseman because I don't really like Teddy Winslow as my number 6. But I mean, I have assets that I can trade. I just got to figure out dollars and cents, and that's probably my only thing I feel like I really need to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do like have assets. It's kind of crazy. Like you have an asset that I view as very valuable, which is Chicago's first next year. Like that's a valuable one.
yeah, you should be able to buy just about anything you want this summer with that.
Yeah. Like even if
Um,
guys leave in UFA, like
hot aspect, yeah.
this team's window remains wide open even after this year. Like
Yep, it's a dynasty franchise waiting to happen here.
Knock on wood.
I mean, and by
Mhm.
waiting to happen, I mean you've been like maybe not a cup favorite, but a cup contender for 3 or 4 seasons straight. If I want to,
made 3 of the last 4 cup finals and won one. So
yeah, exactly.
with the Detroit cameo in there in the East.
Right, I lost in that for the first round, that one playoff. All right, so next standing wise is the LA Kings.
Uh-huh.
Joe, I'll let you go for this one because it's your team.
Oh, well, I'm the same as Canadians is. I only need to buy an upgrade of my 6th defenseman.
Realistically,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
that's my goal.
Stat wise, third offense, first defense, fourth in net with a, get this, 920 goal save percentage on average between the two of them.
There's some teams on goalie benders right now. There's a few. There's a
Yeah.
few. Um
Pot
First in
Vinte.
defense, dude, this team allows 2 goals a game. Like 2 flat.
Yeah, it's funny because Potvin is a 2.5 goal against average, so he's clearly tanking your goalie ratio there, bud.
Yeah, in all 5 games he's played, and also he won all 5 he played.
He's
Yeah.
won all
So
5 games.
Yeah.
He's at a backup respectable 895 save percentage.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
right in league average.
Yeah.
these fucking guys who are low con, I love these guys, the low con high PA backups, especially if they're not paid ridiculous, which Potvin isn't. Yeah, dude, like I think they're great backups because if your starter goes down for like a series, they can just randomly have like a 940 for 3 games. They could just do that. Or they could completely tank your season. But hey, it's better than the alternative.
Well, we've discussed this before. I think I also like the mid con. It's not low con, but like the mid
Yeah.
con, mid to higher CA guys who aren't going to get paid 5 mil, 4 mil because of
Yeah,
their
like
CA.
your Ham Racks and guys like that. St.
Yeah,
Pierre's.
pretty much.
On the Kings
Uh,
roster, I want to shout out Mr. Galen Bourne, former 6th round draft pick that was a
Jesus.
WHL, OHL, WHL, signed to the Devils, right? Made their ECHL team, released Utica, so that's Vancouver, then Montreal, and now killing it with LA. No one ever
Absolutely
expected this guy at
destroying.
a 6th round pick, you know?
This is one of the better late picks in GGHL
And
history,
they didn't even
probably, right?
realize they
Like,
knew what they had. They
Yep. That's
169th overall.
holy moly.
nice.
that's a
Nice.
great player right there.
Uh,
Playing third, getting those points on the 3rd line too.
is Messenberg still literally leading the league in points? Nope, second
He is
now.
second in the league by 1 point.
Alfano. Of course, this fucking guy. But yeah, no, Messenberg is killing it. Dude, what a fucking. That line as a whole, honestly. Dude,
He's
LA's
been
offense is killer.
Messenberg's been 3rd line most of the season too.
Yeah, that third line has been killer. The first line is obviously good with the Capcheck and Hurley, I think it is.
Capcheck, Hughes, and Hurley.
Yep.
I've
And
I've
Hughes
been kind
freaks
of
on,
doing
so
I've been doing line
juggling.
juggling the past 3 sims.
Might as well, right? Like, fuck. Ha- have 2 teams ever been so comfortably in the playoffs as fucking LA and Montreal right now? It's such a fucking gap between
It's Christmas
these
time,
two.
and
Yeah, Merry
I've never had a record this good in online before so far.
This is
Merry
fucking
Christmas. You're
insane.
about to clinch
insane.
playoff like
Yeah,
New
no,
Year's Day.
just about, yeah.
How far is it until we say they clinch the division? Or how far
Duh.
is it until they say they clinch the West?
Yeah, clinch playoffs happening like next sim, like this weekend sometime.
All right.
Realistically. Yeah,
Next,
same issue, same issue. Depth defenseman,
depth
same
defenseman.
exact thing.
The Columbus Blue Jackets, heroes team. Offensively, defensively, stat wise, I have them as. Sorry. I didn't have popped up this time. Fourth in offense, fourth in defense, 13th in net minded with a 902. So Hammerla hasn't been the greatest with a 911, and that puts him 38th in goals saved versus a starter, which is the average save percentage of the top 31 goaltenders in the league.
Damn.
So he's
Jesus.
38th in that.
Solid.
Oh, Hammerla. Well, it's also the backup, I think, because I think this team's backup is terrible.
Kurth
It's
is
some
at
idiot.
888 in his 7 games.
Yeah, that counts as terrible.
Their expiring contracts, they have a lot of expiring contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Sergachev,
Columbus is
Point,
still following that model.
Hischier. Nico Hischier is still playing, eh?
Barely. I don't think he can skate very well anymore, Nico Hischier. Oh, no, he still can.
He's solid.
Wow.
Yeah, for a 375 mil,
Not
that's
bad.
a really good player.
Lots of old. This center core is really funny because it's just old ass guys that I'm pretty sure Hero would just sell if you gave him a first. Like
Yeah,
Point is killing it, obviously.
probably-
He's actually advertising as a buyer, so like I see no reason why this team can't. This is for as good as they were last season. This is still my surprise team out of the East, just because who the fuck expected them to continue, being a surprise? There had to have
Yeah.
been a fall off. It's not happening. They added, was it Lil Jamo? They added him this season.
Yeah, Liliamo. They added. I think
They-
Heischer was an ad.
They had
Yeah, Heischer
Rayman
was an ad.
last season, who was borderline breakout kind of level player.
Yeah, he was. I mean, this season he early in the season he had a heart argument because he was like 15 points over the next highest guy on his team for a long time. Rayman was like he was really driving their scoring, and he's still scoring like he's third in the league in points right now.
Yeah.
Is Sawyer Rayman, which like okay,
20.7% shot percentage, insane.
he's a hell of a shooter. He's 20 in all of them,
20.
deflections,
He's
slap shot,
still
wrist shot.
12
Money.
points above his next teammate, which is Braden
My
Point.
God.
Is still Hart candidate
Oh yeah.
Could
potentially.
totally be in the conversation. Yeah, he like another guy I want to shout out on this team is Nalan Rodriguez, who is 21 in his rookie year and doing very, very well. He's
He just came
man,
up in the region hunting. Who is he?
he's somebody I forget.
JT Miller.
That's yeah. Well, he's killer. He's super good.
Yeah, he's playing really well. Really like what Heroes got going on here. I don't think it. And I'm only saying this because their guys are so fucking old and there are a bunch of expirings. Don't expect this to continue, but I totally have faith in Hero just hitting UFA again and recreating this all over again next season. We're gonna sit here and go, how is this team top 5 in the league?
Yeah, and then we look and there's 5 38-year-olds killing it. Like that's
Murdering. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, no, like this is a surprisingly old team. And if you look at Cleveland in the AHL, which is like that's a pretty solid team. They're not in the playoffs because this division is a nightmare, but they have quite a good prospect pool, really. Like it's wicked. It's really good.
I want to
Graham
go ahead and
Belanger is
shout
nice.
out Rocco Krakow,
Hell yeah.
former
What a
Shark
name.
legend. Still got the San Jose Sharks as favorite clubs. Gonna have to bring him back at some point.
This is a guy I was interested in for a bit until I got Norlander. I kind of wanted Crocky from him.
All right.
But
Up next, Dallas
Next up.
Stars.
wait.
Ooh, you wanna
What do
go?
we really quickly? Do you think like if Columbus is adding, where are they adding? Because this team is pretty strong. I feel like it's like the wings, right? Like realistically, because I
He
don't
had mentioned
like it.
center as what he was after.
Interesting.
Maybe you can move one of those other centers to a wing position.
Oh, of
Does
course.
have $10.79 million in cap room today.
Lord, yeah. I mean, it's a hell of a position to be in at the deadline. He can.
And honestly, a guy like Newhook, who's been on the block for a first for the last like 3 or 4 real life days with the Devils saying, "Hey, I might be negotiable. Like, let's work out a deal." He's motivated to sell here. You had mentioned if he makes the playoffs, you get his first this year. Maybe he tries to slip out of the playoffs so he can get that back. That might be a good option where you pick up a guy who's overpaid, who's playing winger, but can play center. We talked about that before, where having that guy who can play center, but you're going to play him on the wing. Maybe one of your guys gets hurt, he slides in for a sim or two. Like, flexibility, really a lot of things that Columbus can do here.
Oh yeah, like they could get a center, or like they could get a winger or a center and then move a center to wing, because yeah, looking at it, their wings are kind of thin. Like this is not a good. It's like Rayman, Rodriguez, Veros, Margaret. It's not deep. It's really kind of thin. Like
Yeah.
White is not a player I like at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Hero's a good enough GM that he could trade like 3 of his top 12 prospects and redraft. Like he
Morant.
found money.
Morant would actually be a really solid fit here because not only do they have the cap space, but currently they have Suzuki as their number 1C. And I'm sorry, but Nick Suzuki probably shouldn't be a number 1C. And like it's working. I don't know how much I can criticize, but
Problem with Dallas, they don't have any first to trade.
Oh no,
we're on
we're
Columbus.
on
On
yeah, we're on
Columbus.
Columbus
Oh,
still.
Columbus.
Yeah,
I thought we
And
were at
we
Dallas.
false
Sorry.
started.
yeah, I just wanted to say, to bring up the Morant to Columbus theory. That's a fit. I think that's one of the best Morant fits in the league.
I think
Is
that the only problem you have there is you only have a 12 million salary player to offer off of, unless your board is willing to go above and beyond that like 10% buffer.
yeah,
Um, so it's hard to say whether or not they could get an extension done for a guy of that caliber.
yeah.
But
Morant is like in the top centers. He's like top two, right? He's playing kind of terrible this year, but
yeah, I
I,
don't
I
know
think
if
that's a fit.
I don't know if a board would allow a team to offer enough, considering that he's having a poor season, to get him to extend when he could hit the market and make 14 million, 15 million potentially.
Yeah,
Uh, but that is an
interesting
intriguing fit.
position.
I
Yeah,
think the other thing I think would be maybe a D man. Like, I don't know.
maybe. They've got picks out the ass if you look at it this year. They really could. This is a team with a lot of options. You could either sell. You said he put himself down as buying, which I actually really like for this team, because you have so many picks. You can just pivot and turn these picks into assets now, like assets that you can have for the next little
Long
bit.
term, yeah,
Yep.
right. Keep your window open.
Because
Uh,
a lot of his prospects are going to be aging into the NHL soon. We already talked about Rodriguez. Belanger has been in the NHL. He's kind of struggling. I could see him going back down. A few guys like that, really. Quite a few guys that are either close or like they could be in the NHL right now.
true.
Schneider, I think in particular, Elijah
Guys,
Schneider.
3 year window on Hammerla. Would you throw a couple of guys who you have under control for like 6 or 7 years at a player that you could have for that Hammerla window, and then just retool in 2041?
That doesn't seem like a bad idea. That's the thing with Columbus. You got options out the
Super
ass here.
flexible.
You
Yeah, for sure.
really got options. And I love it. I fucking love it when a team has a lot of options. I think that's one of the best spots for a GM to be in, is where you're just sitting here and you're like, I could do anything. I could
Hmm.
I could go anywhere.
And it's hilarious how bad of shape this team was in when Hero took over. To see
Oh
them in
yeah.
this spot now is just absolutely amazing.
Hell of a turnover. Yeah, they had the worst season in GGHL history. They had 29 fucking points.
Yeah, it was bad. It was beyond bad.
It was so bad.
Even if they swing and a miss on Morant, they have a pretty good consolation prize with just having this roster. Speaking of
For sure.
Yeah,
consolations, the
true.
Dallas Stars.
Ah. Oh, that's where
Oh,
you're going. Yeah, yeah. We'll
wow.
go to the stairs now.
Constellation.
I
Um,
just
Like
person goaltending, right?
Oh, yeah, first in goaltending by far. Milmore is sick apparently, and no one tell Logan that. Offensively,
I
I have
was
him
right.
10th. Defensively, I have him 20th. First in net minding.
What? What the fuck? Dude, he, they allow a lot of shots. This guy gets the fucking piss beat out of him every game.
That's why it's first in net minding. 931, and he gets shelled every game. Literally,
What?
he's been worth 5 wins above a starter and 10 wins above league average.
Dude, Millmore has taken 900 shots in 28 games. He is eating shit. He's getting fucking murdered. Let's just do some math. Let me just pull up my calculator. He's getting shot at about 32 times a game, Millmore is. Um great. And he's just a 931. Like what?
Yeah.
They have a negative shot differential overall, and they are, what is it, second, fourth in the league, second
Fourth
in
in
the
the
West,
league, second in the West, top of the Central. Oh my god,
with a
what?
negative shot differential. Milmore is remarkable. There's a reason why there's only 16 regulation and overtime wins and a lot of shootout success.
Oh my god, yeah. This team takes it to overtime constantly. That's why.
That
That's
being said,
how.
my model doesn't dislike them because I think it thinks that Milmore is going to hold on to this form, which he probably won't, and that's going to be concerning. But it thinks they're going to wind up being a 109-point team.
I think there's no way that Dallas regresses enough to not be in the playoffs. I think that's infeasible, but I think Dallas is due for some fucking regression, like of some kind. This 931 in GGHL is so fucking like that is insane. That is crazy. That's like what is that?
So here's my theory. They have a defensive coach, and they have one player with 50% face off, one with 51, and one with 52. And they have two players with more than 30 takeaways. Possession, puck possession, time with the
Yeah,
puck. They get shelled. They can't get the puck out of their zone. It comes down to center, talent, and depth.
that makes a lot of sense because yeah, their weakness remains. This remains an extremely strong team everywhere except center. Like where their centers are too young, like just too young. These guys are borderline not ready. McDermott probably shouldn't be playing C. He's low con. He's hurt right now, but he really probably shouldn't be playing C. Curry is not bad, but he's
He's playing left
obviously,
wing,
yeah, he's
third
on.
line,
Oh, is he on wing right now? These are
third
really
left wing.
bad results for wing, but Wolframe is like close. He's the closest to ready I view him as, but like he's struggling a touch. And then it's what Person and Connor and these guys are like whatever, they're fine. So like if you're Dallas, then has it ever been easier to look at a team and be like, this is my ad. This is what I need. I need a center. I need a top center. Which Morant, if they had picks, which they don't, they really don't have picks.
He invested in Sinclair,
Yeah, Sinclair and
Koscior,
I believe. Let me look.
and
Koiser
uh,
hasn't really worked out for them, unfortunately. 12 points in 36 games, 678 AVR. They also only have about a million and a half, million three quarters of cap space currently, but they have a bunch of players extra on their roster right now. So if they were to trim it down, it's probably closer to like 3 or 4.
That's kind of the thing. Yeah, I don't know if I like the Cozier move just because that was not what they needed. Like, if you look at this team, I really don't think the need was ever a scoring winger. Like, even if you ignore the fact that he is having a bad year, he is struggling. They paid a first for Cozier, and last year they paid a first for Sinclair, and they paid a second for Koivunen with Castle. It was Castle and a second for Koivunen, which that's worked out. But they are trading all of their assets for wingers, And I think at some point you need a center. You can't just throw all these young guys into the fire and have them die. Like
Yeah, Wolframe's morale is a little bit concerning. I think he's still due for a bump here in CA. I assume he's going to hit. Uh, no, his birthday isn't until June, so end of season. But anticipation, creativity are getting there.
weirdly low for him, but yeah, they're not
They also
bad.
don't have a single point per game player. Koivunen is the
Yeah.
closest one at 32 and 36, but there's a decent drop off with Connor at 25 and 36 after that.
Yeah,
Um,
this is one of the teams I view as least sustainable in terms of goodness right now. Millmore is not fucking keeping a 931. I'm sorry. You know what? Clip this if at the end of the season he has a 930 and make like ping me 100 times. Just make fun of me. But like he's not keeping a 930. And if they can't get more scoring, this team will regress. I think they've built too much of a lead to even like think about falling out of the playoffs. Although if you look at the West, from
it's tight.
second to like 10th, it's like a not even 10-point difference. So it's very tight. This is a conference where if you slip for like 10 games, that's like 6 seeds.
And they're one of the three teams in the West who has played 36 games. Everyone
Mhm.
else is one, two, in the Kings' case, 3 games in hand. So
Yeah,
they're
I like the need is so obviously a center, and they got like what 3/3 this year and a third next. Like, who is giving you a good center for a pile of thirds, right? Like that's the issue.
This team will be substantially better next year than they will this year, because especially since they'll have
they're
a
gonna
lot more
grow
cap space to go with as well. Yeah, and
and
they'll
cap.
grow, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
young fucking team.
I
They'll
offered him
get more
Eklund
cap
for a
space.
second and third. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, the second he doesn't, his next second is in like 2040. So I kind of get the reticence, but I don't like Eklund that much either, for what it's worth. Like, I think he needs a center that's like high end. Like the need on this team, if he had the assets, which I don't know if he does, unless he's willing to just like say, "Fuck it, we're in a window now," or defense is this, or wingers are this. Trade one of these young centers for a Morant and just like go for it this year, because this team really could use like an elite center talent, and that's obviously what Morant is. Even if he struggled, like
Well,
have Morant
if he
throwing the
had
puck at Sinclair.
term, right? Like
Yeah,
it's hard to balance, especially when you're a young team. An expiring 28-year-old who probably won't extend versus just saying fuck it, we're gonna let it ride, and if we fall to sixth, we fall to sixth, and maybe we're better next year.
yeah. I just oh man, the Kosior trade is like the deadline outlook for Dallas is the word's not bleak, but like kind of empty because they don't really have the assets to flip. Their assets that they have to flip, why would you flip them? Is kind of the thing. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Othman's worth a ton. Why ever, right? Like, well, for what purpose? He's killing it. He's one of the many rookies having a killer year right now. Othman's great. Sidlowski, oh yeah, he's an asset. Why would you move him? For what?
the power play and the fact they're only plus 13 goal differential, they have to find a way to be sustainable with the puck. They have to get puck control. Starts on the dot. So
And
Yeah.
both their special teams are probably below average. They're
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
penalty kill is close, but yeah, they're when other teams are in the mid 20s.
right.
Like it's hard to see this as sustainable. I think they're probably like a 585, 590 point percentage team.
I'd give them a touch higher than that. Yeah, penalty kill, they're 24th in the league. Power play, they are 23rd. So they have bottom 10 in both, which I don't know. The thing with Dallas is, yeah, it's still a future play. The thing is, obviously, if you're Dallas, you would have liked to take more of a step, and that Kosior trade, especially, has really not worked out how they wanted to. They gave up a first for a guy who is not even a 7 AVR. He's not even half a point a game, right? Like he's really struggling and he's stuck there
See those
forever.
50 goals in Washington last year, and you go, yeah, he's
50
got to
goal
make our
scorer.
team better. Yeah,
But no.
Kosior, yeah,
This
he
one hasn't
played great
worked
on
out.
a good team, but not great any other season.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Yeah, Dallas is one of the teams that should be buying, but I don't know how good the assets they can get with like a few thirds are. Maybe like a depth center. Then you push Wolfram down or push McDermott to the wing to help them develop, really, because that's kind of what you're focused on if you're Dallas. You need these fucking young guys, these young centers to come through, especially like if you're this team, you look at the future and you're like, our top two in the future is easily Wolfram, Curry. That's our top two. That's your one,
Yeah,
two centers. I love that. I think that's really good.
I think
If they develop.
if you can find a way to balance the neutral, right? Like where we're talking about how like stand pat and neutral kind of mean different things. Person and Kosior, flip those guys for a couple of firsts, where right, like maybe Person isn't worth a first at his age with his term, but someone might be willing to take a bet that they can get Kosior back up to that 50 goal
Yeah.
capability. Get a couple of firsts and another roster player, and then flip those two firsts for a really good center. That's what I would suggest. I think you can do that.
Yeah. It's a super interesting position because yeah, you could totally also just fucking stand pat and be like, well,
Well,
we're
handle it in the
middling
off
this
season.
year. Yeah, off season, we will have another first to move, and then we can make a move for a center, flip a defenseman because this defense is like needless. This is
Yeah.
like excessive.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need all these guys. Like you can totally afford a move like the one I made for Cyril Seiler, something like that, where it's like we have an excess at this position. We don't need all these guys.
But yeah, offensively, Billy Koivinen's the Lone Ranger up there. You know, he's by himself out there.
Ah,
Anyways,
ooh,
speaking of the New York Rangers,
Ha
not
ha
bad,
ha.
not bad, and true. Koivunen's on his own. Yeah, the Rangers are interesting. How are they doing?
they are, let's see, seventh in offense, fifth in defense, 16th in net with an 896. Um, Heaton is probably their best goaltender right now, ranked 24th in goal
Oh
save
no,
first average
Chisty.
between Gagan shots and Hamrack, which isn't probably ideal company,
Oh,
you know?
high praise. Yeah. When we talk about needs,
Goalie.
goalie, right? Like we need a goalie. The thing is, it's so hard to get a goalie.
I was really hard on trying to give them LDP, but he wouldn't have it for our first, and so he went to Chicago. But I feel
Because they
LDP
paid you
probably would
first.
be a better fit than either Heaton or who's the other guy?
Chichikov.
Right?
Chistikov, who is having the worst season of his career. Oh no.
He was a
886.
907 last season, so it's
Yeah.
like it's hard to imagine that's sustainable when he had a 910 once in 16 games.
His career average is
Uh,
897, and this year's an
yeah,
886. I'm more likely to believe the 897, 886 than the 907, 910.
exactly. So, but with his age, like maybe MZ was thinking, okay, like I give him this one last hurrah,
It's fair.
and now
Yeah.
it's time to move on. Instead of doing exactly what Chicago did and saying, "Fuck, I have no first. I need a goalie. I'm gonna trade my first next year." And you run into this position where you're on a treadmill. You're treading water. You're going nowhere. Your first is always gone. Uh, but do they have their first this year?
Honestly,
They have
this
They do
$10.225
not.
million in cap space. They have room.
they have room. Like it. The issue is, it is not. I would know. I've been looking for a goalie for 25 fucking years. I. It is not easy to mid-season be like, give me a goalie that can like win me a playoff round. How not that many teams even have one, right? Like it's not that easy. Uh, I honestly thought Ottinger was a pretty good fit for this team, but
I tried that too.
as is,
Especially with
who are they getting, right? Like
40-year-old Jack Eichel. This is the time, right? Like if you had a first this year, you do it. You take the
Yes.
1 year Ottinger, fuck it, let's roll. But he doesn't have a first this year. He has a first next year. So, like I said, I can kind of see that tentativeness where it's like, fuck, we might have to like scorched earth it next year and just fall back on that point that we have our first next year and the
Yep.
rest going forward. But man, I feel bad because this team was in rough shape in just 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and
He's
MZ turned him around.
it's a hell of a turnover, and it's not a like Eichel is old, obviously, and Pinelli is like what 32, but like this is not a team that should be too doomed,
Retool.
really. Like
Yeah,
you
right.
can retool this on the fly if you can get a high end goalie, and what an if, right? Just get a high end goalie. It's that easy. Just find one, pull one out of
Just
your ass.
win, you know? It's
Just
that
win.
simple.
Like, what are you stupid? Just
Why are you
win.
what are
Like,
you doing not winning, you
Fucking
know?
pansy.
Right.
Easy.
So we talked about potential Morant fits. This team came up in the pre-pod chat we discussed. I don't know. I like Eichel. I like Clark. Morant makes sense to replace Eichel long term, but
But
if
not
you don't have
necessarily
that
this season, right?
goalie, yeah, you don't make that investment. Maybe they look for that free agency luck and try to luck up there. But at the same point, Teddy McDonough is expiring, and
oh my god, he
Bo
is.
Clark is expiring. Jack Eichel is retiring and or expiring. You don't really have that. This has to be a team thinking about the future, even if they don't move for the future like my team did. You have to be cognizant of that and say, okay, maybe we take our foot off the gas. We've made our investments. We're still a good team this year. Probably not going to win. They're not going to go to the Eastern Finals, but they might win a playoff series.
Yeah.
Ty Nelson's also expiring.
Oh my god. Yeah, this team is kind of out of time.
He's sick.
Unless obviously we don't know, right? If these guys are willing to re-sign, I'm pretty sure you can. Eichel's obviously not, but other than that, you can retool pretty easily if you can bring back Clark, McDonough, and Nelson. You just bring back all these guys. Furman Elliott, we talked about him last time. What a fucking rookie. He's
Yep.
dude, look at his text. What?
Insane.
He's 21.
This is
What?
what I expected the Eric Carlson regen to look like at 21, 22 years old.
Yep.
Elliott looks way better than the EK regen, and I'm crying inside.
Yeah, Elliott is killer. He's fantastic. But this is a fucking beast of a team, except in net. And like
Yep.
their goaltending, what did you say? Like 20 something?
20 something, yeah. It's not
It,
awful, but it's not good.
But that's
it's
your 1A,
awful for a
1B.
playoff
Awful
team.
Yeah,
for a
Let,
playoff
that's your
team,
1A,
right?
1B
Contender,
tandem.
right?
yeah, that's a tandem. Like that's not a traditional starter setup. That's a tandem. And they're 25th. Like you so desperately need a goalie. And it's such a kind of miserable position to be in because who is giving you a goalie? You know what I mean? Like
Free
where are you
agency.
getting it? Free agency,
Academy.
exactly. And
So you're going to overpay. You're probably going to overbuy on term. And then you also have to pray that Clark, McDonough, Ty Nelson, you have to get two of those back, and one of them has to be Bo Clark because Eichel's gone.
yeah, you
And
need a
then you
center.
have to go replace Eichel. So tough. It's tough to say that this is not a good spot for them to be in, but they can also fall back on. We've got assets going forward. Let's retool a little bit if we can't make this work long term.
Yeah, there's
So
the option of burning it to the ground.
right,
Wait,
exactly.
really quickly, really
Yeah.
quickly. A fit I have in mind is Drew Camesso
Killing it.
to the
Drew Kamessa's
Rangers.
been killing it this year.
Who was killing it, right? Like
Mm.
the thing is obviously his track record isn't killing it. It's like a 9-10.
But that probably
But
makes it easier to acquire.
yeah, like you could give up your second, third this year and be like, fuck it. Maybe he's an improvement. Like there's no way he's worse than like Chishchikov. That guy's fucking dying. What the hell is that year he's having? Terrible. Scrub.
Another fit I could see is like Marc Antoine St. Pierre, who's cheap and 2 more years term. Maybe Carolina would bite
Art ways.
on the first next year and a couple of prospects to kind of help him retool away from this all D team that clearly didn't work for him. So I think it's it's gonna. That's someone that I know Alex invested in because he thought he could make it work. He thought that maybe he just needed ice time. He didn't get really the starter games
Yeah,
in St. Louis.
St. Pierre is an interesting option. There's a few guys, but like it's just so hard. And like again, I've been looking. It's so hard to find one of these fucking elite goalies. Like they go on the market and they move in like 6 hours, and then you're like, fuck me. Like Askarov went on the market, fucking Mark jumped on it, or like Millmore and that got jumped on immediately. Shit like that, right? Like you gotta get ahead of these things. Uh, and a lot of the time it's a little bit of luck and timing and like fuck, it's a
And
little bit
having the
sad.
assets and yeah.
They got the assets is the thing. It's just
Hmm.
fucking it's so hard.
All right, I
You know,
appreciate listening in, but I gotta go. I
All
gotta
right.
get some sleep.
Awesome,
I'll
buddy.
see
so
you
yeah,
guys
move
later.
on.
Later, dude.
We hey, on the note of things that are hard to deal with, fire.
Fire. Calgary Flames. Alrighty.
Like being on fire.
Fire, fire.
All right. I have
Second in
them
goaltending.
15th in offense, 21st in defense, third in net. But that's Lopez is sick. The other guy not so much, but Lopez is sick.
I like to think Eurofeyev was brought back as a contingency plan in case they were bad again. He was just going to play him 40 games and go to the bottom of the standings.
878. It's an
Yep.
improvement off last year too.
Oh, what a legend! I love Eurofeyev. He re-signed him too. He's back next year. Why? 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 He just really likes this guy.
Yeah.
I guess you'll throw him in your face. In your face? Yeah, I don't know.
In your
Yeah.
face. So once again, we discussed pre-pod like surprises, disappointments. Calgary was
Big
a
surprise.
surprise for many,
Oh,
but
this is the biggest one in the league for me.
not the biggest one, not even the biggest one in the West for me, because I feel like Satanic Mushroom is a top end GM. Like he called this, he called Lopes being a player that could be a franchise goalie, could be a top tier goalie, if not a franchise goalie. And not too many people believed him. And by not too many, I mean basically nobody.
We all thought he was delusional. It turns out we're all stupid.
But he is just that good of a GM, in my opinion. Like I had Dallas as my West surprise, just because the fact that they have no centers, they are getting supremely lucky right now. How they're second is pretty shocking. But I felt like Calgary has proven they can build a top 5 team in the league over and over and over again, and I'm not surprised they retooled well.
Yeah,
This is
See.
the Lopez show, to say the least.
for sure.
They are also getting supremely lucky though.
Yeah, we talked about it a little with Dallas that they're a touch unsustainable. This team is a touch unsustainable. They like what? How is Johnny Brandt doing this? Like what?
How is he still on the team? Because he put him on the block. He put
Yeah,
him on
no.
the block like earlier this week. Someone should have bought this man.
Why? He's shown nothing until this year.
There's so many center needy teams that a guy like this has to just be eye-poppingly intriguing to somebody out there. I
The
don't know
thing
what
is,
he's asking, but
yeah, that's the thing. Is with a guy putting up these results, theoretically, you'd be like first plus, but in practice, you're like, dude, it's Johnny Brandt.
well, he was drafted 25th overall in one of the first dead draft years, so
Like he's
likelihood
high
that
CA,
yeah,
obviously.
he was a New York Rangers pick in 2027. I'm pretty sure that team that was probably a BPA. He was probably like BPA ISS 4 because he
Realistically,
was a
yeah.
defensive center. So he might just have insanely high PA.
He could. I mean, he's full of greens, right? This is one of the greenest fucking pages I've seen. But like, damn, man, damn, what the fuck? I guess 20 passing. I every time I see guys with the defensive role snippet, I'm like shocked if they put up any points. dude, his season projection based on 82 games by my scout is 30 points. He's at 28.
They
Like
don't
what?
expect him to score anymore this year.
They're like, no, he's not. Like it has to be that Heim is. We all know Heim is like a very, very, very good winger. He's like one of the best wingers in the league. It has to, like, surely it has to be that he's getting carried by the line, right? Like Heim and Coronado, we know they're both good players. Dude, goal scorer, defensive goal scorer. Like what? What? How is this?
Yeah,
How is this
first
working as
line.
well as it
I
is?
don't know.
Like,
His defensive pairings are also like good, balanced, and I think that's kind of what I get at when it's like top end GM gets results,
yeah,
makes good trades, builds good lines, finds a
annual
way to make it work with a solid goaltender. Not
pod.
surprised.
Every pod we shout out Doherty because he's a Calder candidate.
On the first
Yep,
pair, according to my scouts,
he is. Yep.
with Harley.
Yeah, I mean it's a good place to be to succeed. Harley was a good offseason pickup. Again, I offered him more. Fucker, love me, but I yeah this. They got good rookies, Doherty and McMillan. Obviously, they have these young guys coming up. Buffalo is oh my god,
AHL record breaker.
he's what is he doing? They have Theory coming up in net too, and obviously if Lopez is this, then Jesus Christ, then he was stacked. Like this team looks to me, and because of the way my window is, I'm looking at teams that'll be really good in like 3 years.
For
Calgary
the
looks
next
like a
decade.
future dynasty. Yeah,
Yep.
like this. Now it's obviously I think it's unsustainable, but Buffalo will come in and be a 1C. Like 100% this guy is a 1C.
For sure.
Again, quote me if I'm wrong, but like this, yeah, man, like they're
You've
getting
talked
better
about
results than I expect.
you've talked about in general, I believe with Grum, how in your trade trees it's like, has this guy ever fucking lost a trade?
Yeah, dude, every
And
time
he's
I do one,
he's a good drafter.
yeah.
So yeah, not surprised. Dynasty in the making. Took him a year and a half to retool.
Every single time I do a trade tree, even if Calgary is not the initial team involved, there's a cheeky little Calgary gets a guy for nothing, just throw it in there. Like what? They're great trade, dude. If Johnny Brandt is just this for them forever, they got him for pennies. It was like a third.
Yep.
Yeah,
They got the
Cole
Silva for me for a
Johnston
third
and
too.
a second. Cole Johnston is terrible. He's like the worst goalie prospect to exist.
Negative asset. So yeah, basically a third.
Like what? This is how did they do this? Like how they're geniuses, man. Mushroom is genius. This is fantastic work. I don't know. Like so many guys on this team. Obviously, there's guys in this team that aren't that good and like they're overperforming. I think, or that, or they're just not performing. Guys like Punnett. Punnett has never been good. Like
Kivaniemi is like an overpaid winger, but still,
he's
he's not
okay.
even half point per game, but is still kind of productive.
Yeah.
He was very productive
It.
his first half season in Calgary, 18 and
Yep.
22.
Yeah.
And when did he sign that contract?
For what it's worth, this Shroom was pissing me off in the offseason because he was so bad. Every time I wanted a guy on waivers, Shroom or fucking Chase or right there. I was like, I want this guy, and it's the one of these fucking Alberta teams,
And it's gone.
and it's gone.
It's
Yeah,
gone.
it's
Did
brutal.
did did, did anybody happen to see when Kivaniemi signed that contract extension?
I did not. When did that happen?
I'm not going to say anything.
Halfway through last season.
Oh,
Signed him to
interesting.
that massive extension when he was doing so well.
Oh, well, he can probably get some results out of him again. It's
Considering what he's done with Brant.
you fuck
Absolutely.
Johnny Brandt. I can't get over Johnny Brandt. I'm sorry, I just can't. But if you look at this team, there's a lot of guys putting up like sixes or low sevens, and that is kind of one of the signs of a team that should regress a little theoretically, right? Like,
Yeah, they're only plus 10 goal differential.
And I said
yeah,
like a lot of their shot metrics weren't necessarily the greatest. To relay them again, 15th in offense, 22nd, 21st in defense. So borderline playoff team without
yeah,
Lopez. With Lopez, shit, man.
comfortable. Yeah,
Right.
no, like if you're Calgary, what are you doing at the deadline? Just sitting there? Because I feel like you could just sit there, maybe sell like a Harley if somebody comes to you and is like, I'll pay you first for Harley, but like I feel like you're pretty comfortable if you're Calgary to just sit there and be like, I'll wait for the right offer. You know what I mean? Like if somebody wants to overpay for a guy I have, they've been posting guys in the block, um, like De Silva, they've posted, and I like De Silva. Like you know, they have lots of assets, but I don't know how necessary it is because sometimes as a rebuilder, you're like, I have to move these guys. I'll get scammed. Like I'm content to get scammed to get anything. You know, like I'll trade like a third for like last year I traded Doyle for like a third. He's worth more than a third, 100%. Like he's a good enough player to be worth more than a third, but you have to get rid of a guy sometimes. If you're Calgary, you don't have to do anything, dude. Just sit here.
Yeah, I don't know what they, where are they going to upgrade? Like, you move Brant down, and is he going to do better, worse, same? Why mess with what you got going on?
Seriously,
They have
unless some
a lot of players expiring this year, but none of them are really significant contributors except for maybe Da Silva.
Yeah, and that's
Harley's
hard
pretty
because he
significant
was
too, right?
expiring,
Or is he
but
2 years?
He's 2
De
years.
Silva was willing to extend for almost exactly what he's making for 2 more years, so he could extend him and trade him later.
Lots of options. The
Hey,
guy
like
like
what?
this.
Sustainability.
Ah,
Yeah.
I see your eyes fucking popping out of your head. What a place to be if you're Calgary. It really went from the ultimate tank commanders with Eurofe playing like 40 games to an actual
To
playoff
actual
team.
playoff team. All
Nice.
right.
Salvaging a top 4 team.
Capitals are next. We good? All right.
Uh,
So
yes.
Washington, I have them ninth in offense, ninth in defense, eighth in goaltending. They're not as good as they were last year, and that's I don't know really know why. Like they lost Koizer and or Kozier, and he scored 50 for them. But whatever are the other real significant losses that they had?
Do you know what I brought up in the Eastern season preview? I brought up Washington's defense. This is thin. Like it's really thin. They don't have
They got
any
five.
defensemen.
Yeah,
Yeah, he literally only has 5 D-men. One is injured and one is scratched.
Yeah, two of them are good. Like if we're being realistic, there's two good defensemen here. And
two of
like
them say
Rankiv is like fringe. Buck is not ready. He simply isn't ready. Um,
He has Matthias Higgins playing
yeah, he's playing.
second.
He's doing the defense. The Carolina play some defensive player as a defense experiment. Is Roy on defense? Because they kind of expected him to be.
I
No.
have it as Sandine Gula, Higgins, Buck, Radcliffe, Arniel.
Arniel, interesting. Like he's just trying shit. You know what I
It,
mean?
it
Like
looks it looks like Raincliffe was injured last sim too.
Yep.
yeah. So he'll put in like McNutt over him, and then great, perfect. That's the thing. It somehow this team ended up having no defensemen at all. And I think it's because of cap constraints. They had
Yeah.
to get rid of a lot of guys after last year because of Levis. I saw they posted Levis on the block. He is paid to shit, and that's why they
16
they
million. Oh wow, eh?
they were already close to the cap. Cam said like I just offered him 16 for fun, and then he accepted it. I wasn't expecting it. It's like okay, that's a little unlucky. But like yeah, if you look at the losses, it's guys like Norlinder, it's guys like Ryan Merkley they had to lose. McKinnon retired, obviously. They yeah, lots of guys like that. They had to trade Sabatka. No, Sabatka was for Gula. But yeah, it's Kozior, Murda, Celestin, Um, Doyle, Norlinder. That's who they lost realistically. Uh, and McKinnon and Ryan Merkley. That's their losses. Which like
It's really amazing that they made a team out of this with all those losses, paying a winger 16 million. It's really respectable.
yeah, like that's the thing. That's a significant portion of losses. They got Yorov in the Celestin trade at least. Um, so that's like an asset back. But a lot of these are just them having to shed guys for picks, realistically, just for scraps, right? Because you are capped out. Norlinder was a cap move. I we talked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I got to get rid of a guy because if an injury happened, like what happened is Norlinder got hurt and put on 7th day, and he was like, I can't run 20 players. I have to run like 17.
Ooh, I
So
think
like,
it's it might get worse for them in this offseason too, because Sandine, Radcliffe, and Gula are all UFAs.
yes,
Well, that's
this
Especially
sad.
one
and Arniel is as well, and he's their winger that's playing D. So that's
I don't
three
know
of
if
your
I
four.
I don't know if I actually put them for overrated, but maybe I should have because I thought so. like I this they had a lot of losses that they just simply not even by any fault of Cam, just you can't replace losses like that easily. This is obviously they still have Rybakov. Obviously their centers are still fucking crazy with like Caudle, Wright, McNeil, and like what Rosignol 4C. Like yeah, no, I'm
Fourth line
happier.
wing
Like
right now, according to my
fourth
scouts.
wing. So what? Prattle 4th C.
It's Wright, McNeil, Rattle, Coddle. Coddle is
Okay,
4C.
interesting. The point is that is a fantastic center core. Like that is great. Obviously, you have Levis, and he's spectacular. He's having, of course, after getting paid 16 million, he's having the worst season of his career. like, of course.
I think what you do is you find young entry level contract wingers that you can trade assets for, entry level D men, right? Like find 3 or 4 guys who are cheap salary, you have control for, deal your assets, and find a way to tool around that center core and
Mm,
Rybakov and Levis. And
yep.
yeah, you're saying, replacing those top end guys is not just magically going to happen, but I think it's doable. He's still got a really, really good team, obviously, with all his losses, still be top 4 East Conference.
Yep. Rancliffe notably, uh, he had fewer defensemen before November because he signed Rancliffe in November. Like he really was running with like 4 and just trying to make it work. Which like I understand it worked for Carolina that one time, but like it's sketchy. Like it just sketches me out. And like Buck is a guy who I think will be an NHLer. I don't know if he is yet. I think he could use a little more AHL time, and I think he's kind of getting thrown in because he has to be, really.
One
He
thing I'll
wasn't.
say is their special teams is insane.
True, yeah, actually. Oh my god.
Probably best in the league on both sides.
Uh, best in
Yeah,
power play, third best in penalty kill.
yeah. So
Fucking killer.
I don't think it's unfair to say that they've been lucky to be a 64% point percentage team. But when you have special teams like that, like it's pretty close to balance, as balanced as you can be for a top 4 team
Yeah.
in the
They
conference.
this is also a team that can add. Obviously they're capped out, but you can, or I don't think they are
They
capped
got
out
about a
anymore.
million and a half or so.
Okay, you can pick like you got to be on the hunt. If you're the Capitals, the ad is again. This is another team where you look at it. The ad is so it's just a defenseman. Like,
4th, 5th
please,
type team, man. Yeah.
yeah, like a 4th defenseman, second pair kind of guy that is cheap. Like, obviously, I don't. That's not going to be a cheap thing to get, but they have assets to move. Evidently, they have a bunch of seconds. They have Edmonton's second this year, or Edmonton's second next year. Dallas's first next year. Edmonton's first next year. Edmonton is so bad that I don't think they're going to get Edmonton's first this year. They got Chibisov. He is obviously a high-end prospect that you can move for defenseman because your window's now. If you're Washington, it's now. It's go 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 because Rybakov is already 32. He expires in a couple of years.
Okay, so they're not quite tumbling down the mountain yet, but a team that is literally
True.
tumbling down a mountain, the
True.
Colorado Avalanche.
True enough. The Bowmans.
This is the pick I had for potentially like larger disappointment in the league. Let's go through their metrics first. I have them as the sixth in offense, third in defense. Check this out: 28th in net minding with an 878. And the thing is, Poikinen's a 900 flat. Sokolko's come in and been, I guess, a savior, I suppose, with a 918, but it's also only 6 games. Bauman is not good, but he's also not the worst goaltender in the league, and we'll get to them at some point. And he's not the he's an 841.
Dude.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, Poikinen has been one of the, as a player, disappointments. Poikinen, 900, really? He's winning all these games too. But he's 900. Like, it's not him contributing to it at all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that a new GM coming in to take over this great team didn't quite have all the information, didn't process it all, didn't take a deep enough look. A couple of weird like moves that had to happen, right, or that you might have expected that had to happen to maintain the cap flexibility to keep running this team the way that Chris ran it. I don't think all that information. I'm sure the information got to him. I just don't think he understood it.
That, yeah, I could totally see that because I know Chris definitely wrote him
Like a 20 paragraph essay.
right, an essay of what to do. And I could totally understand why Keller would be like, nah, I don't feel like reading that. Never mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
My team, I do what I want. Yeah.
Exactly. But
But
Poikinen, I have ranked 37th in the league right now between Molu and Knight.
what?
That's
Like,
not like him at all.
no,
No.
that's his worst season. Like, counting his rookie year, that's his worst season. Like, okay, how? Right? Like, he will obviously come up. I
To
assume
regress upwards, right?
he will positive
Positive
regression.
regression is the thing, yeah. It's the term.
But the big ad on this team, realistically, and the big hole that they couldn't really do anything about, it just kind of happened, is our good friend Alex Turcotte, who retired at 35 like some sort of asshole. Fucking bastard! I wanted to sign him, but yeah, he just fucked off and retired. So that's not an easy player to replace,
Well,
realistically.
and McTavish missed some time too, right? He's
Yeah, McTavish was hurt
McTavish has
for.
played
Well,
all games.
oh yeah,
34 for
they've had
34.
some injuries that I think. Oh no, not
Doesn't
really.
seem like it.
Poikinen, I think, at the start. Oh no, they
Yeah.
just didn't play
They
him.
just didn't play Poikinen. Sumela missed a bunch of
Suomela
games.
was the
That's
one.
all,
Suomela.
yeah.
Suomela was the one. So he missed quite a few games. He can't. Like, he's been good. The thing is, the obvious hole on this team is where Turcotte played. It's 3C. It's
Yep.
exactly 3C, 2-3C. You need a middle 6C.
Pampane is still there, and he's not killing it. Like, I
He's
understand he says
struggling.
it's understand his highlight key attribute says finesse center, but he is not a natural center, and therefore he's not going to play well there.
Yeah.
And
The
I
thing
hate
is,
that.
Colorado is thin on assets. They have a first next year to get a 3C, basically. Like a first next year, third this year or next. And like Noah Kellenberger and Simon Ingvartson, who are the most like mediocre prospects you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Like,
I think honestly it's a good time to rebuild or retool the team.
I don't think so. I really think if you can get a 3C, this team is still a contender. Like, easily. I would not be shocked if they can. Like, yeah, I disagree with you on that one. I think for sure, just get a 3C for first 2/3 prospect for a 3C, or like a winger for like a 3C.
Yeah, and hopefully Poikinen comes back into form, and you'll be set. Because, like, again, they're sixth in offense, third in defense currently. Like, if a
Yeah,
couple additions and Poikinen back into form, I could see it working.
They're
Also,
likely to lose Lambos. York is 35.
If you
So
want to get
yeah,
ahead of it, you could. You would get a windfall of assets, but if you also wanted to contend and be, get a fourth Stanley Cup in 5 years and be, sick that way, you totally could do that. I still see that as a potential option as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a disagreement of philosophy, really, because
Right.
I think it's worth just focusing on these like couple of years where that they still got with like Cam York, all these like really good players that are gonna be there for a few more years, versus getting ahead of it, playing for the future. I think I'd rather be like elite for 3 years and terrible for five than good for seven. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I think
sure.
it's worth just like going hard as fuck on this window, going for a 3C, because Niederbach is realistically he's not bad per se, but at his core he's a 4C. That's what he's good at. He's a good 4C. So a 3C is like the easy fill-in. Hell, a guy like fucking Dean on San Jose, right, or Lagerberg, one of these guys would be a good fit because I've seen them both on the market. I think
Neither of you, hope you guys neither of you guys looked at this, but what do you think Papanay's face-off percentage is at these three seasons?
like 30.
It's lower than
Yeah,
that.
I'm
It's
gonna
22.
say
Yes.
12 was gonna be
What?
my
This
guess, but
stupid ass game.
You didn't
20
even let me
face-offs, by the way.
guess.
20 face-offs.
Yeah, Joe
20
got scammed.
face-off
Didn't even
percentage.
I got scammed out of my guess.
Sorry,
Wow.
I didn't even realize you were still around, Joe.
wow, ouchie.
Wow.
So I can see what you're meaning. Like guys like Miroshnichenko, McTavish, early 30s, starting to age, like push the window, and then in 2 or 3 years, 2 years, because Poikinen only has 2 more years after this, one more year after this. Make a run, sure, why not? Um,
They have a
if
killer
it's
top
cheap,
line.
if it's cheap enough, yeah, for sure. They've still got a really good team. Like I'm not saying they don't have a chance to make it happen, but you have to replace Lambos, York, and your 3C. They do have almost 20 million in cap, so there's plenty of opportunity to make it work. And they've got a couple of players like maybe Brooks Betts is a guy you can sell, and try to find a cheaper replacement. I think they've got more flexibility than you think I'm giving them credit for. But you can say it's just a difference of philosophy. Like that's what I did. I didn't see any potential for winning a cup in 2037, 2038, and by 2039, Havilland would be expiring, dying, retiring, not part
All
of
the above.
championship core.
Yeah, it is 100% a philosophy thing because we'll get to you, and I disagree with what you did for the same reason
Fair enough.
that I would want Colorado to just go for it. Because these guys, Lambos, these are like obviously great player, but replaceable in the short term. Like for you can get a guy who's like 37 in UFA to just be that, you know, or hell, we don't know obviously if guys are willing to resign.
Yeah.
We never know. Uh, if you can re-sign Lambos for a year, York probably has a couple good years left in him. Oh yeah, he totally has a couple good years. I think he's starting to fall off, but he's still got talent.
At least one more year, the Poikinen year, right? Like next year. Try to sign these
Yes,
guys for one more year and then find a 3C. Yeah, I agree. Like not to say it's not doable. I think it'll just depend on what Keller wants to do. If he wants to say, fuck that, this is my team, that's kind of the route I would lean. If I was coming into this team, I would tear it down, retool, and do what I want with the team. And I did the same thing in MHL. So that is kind of my philosophy is like get ahead of it. If I don't feel comfortable with the window, if I think the window is shrinking, I'll try to extend it.
makes sense. I yeah, this is another one of the rosters where you look at their needs and you're like, yeah, it's so easy. You lost Turcotte, replace Turcotte. Obviously, you're not going to get a 3C as good as Turcotte was because Turcotte was literally like the ideal 3C on this planet. But
Still a really good team that you don't need Turcotte level.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just need not Pampane getting a fucking 20%. Like what? Poor guy. 20 face-offs, by the way. I love this game.
Up next are Gus's San Jose Sharks.
Oh,
Alright.
really?
Yeah,
Ah,
they're tied with the Avs
They're
in
tied.
points. So the Sharks I have second in offense, second in defense, 20th in net minding.
Second. That's
Second and second.
crazy.
I have like a good portion of the graphs I've been putting right, like it shows how your goaltending's been killing you a bit, you know, and
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's probably it was before the Wallstead's been playing,
Sure.
and that's Celestin wasn't doing you any favors, and neither has Tierney really.
I didn't really play Celestin more than a sim or two.
Yeah, Tierney was the main guy, and he like sitting in an 889. I don't think he's anything. Yeah, I think he kind of
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, he let in 3 per game each game. His last sim we had 4 games, and he went 3-3-4, 3 goals against to bring his save percentage up to 889. So was just really hoping for some growth out of him. Didn't expect him to be like franchise level, like 5-star CA, none of that. Like just wanted to see if I could get some growth out of him since he was at the top of our prospect list after the trade with Drew.
He was
I
he was a
didn't.
former first round pick of mine, you know, like I believed in this kid when I drafted him. Like
Sounds
all
like
of his
me and Remy Valentine.
all of his texts were in the yellows when I drafted him, and they just haven't grown like at all.
He's grown a
Yeah.
little bit this season. He's
Right,
got a little bit of
14,
growth. So
right.
Maybe Larry Tierney is the next guy to go to the Alps and come back at age 30 like a fucking god, because obviously he has good PA. But
I extended him for one more season. I will still give him his games. I do want to keep Wallstead fresh. When I traded for Wallstead, he was hurt, so obviously I don't want to
yeah,
push his health. But he is a true rental. I don't intend to extend him unless he's willing to negotiate at that like 6.8 million core player status that I have him set at. Since he is aging, I didn't want to go any higher than that. Really, just an acquisition where it was like maybe I get a playoff series win, maybe 2 playoff wins with Wallstead, and if I don't, it only costs me a couple thirds, a couple specs.
yeah,
So realistically, it was like, why let a 33-year-old guy who he was at the point where he was declining. I was not unhappy with his performance, but he also didn't play a lot for me because I was mostly playing Ottinger. So I wasn't sure if he was declining because he was aging or if he was declining because I wasn't playing him. And so I figured get the horse in front of the cart and give me a couple of seasons to rebuild. I didn't expect to be in a position where Colorado was going to be switching hands and maybe like underperforming. Like if I thought I would be a top 2 team, I probably would not have done that. And I might very well be in Joe's shoes right now if I had have kept Haviland. I just couldn't do it financially.
Something positive though for you is that I have Wallstad ranked 8th overall right now so far in this season. Granted, it's only been
yeah.
like 8 games he's played, but he's
December,
shined
basically.
very well in this
Oh, he
little
played
bit he's done.
six for Winnipeg and was a
14
912.
games. Yeah, not
He was a 912 with 327 in Winnipeg.
currently he's a 920, 921 effectively,
Yeah,
on the
And
season so far.
Celestin in Winnipeg was a 910, 283 goals against. So I don't know if that was like just a bad few sims for him in Winnipeg, but I think that was underperformance. I still think that 930 2.0 goals against is a bit overperformance, but if we're number 2 in defense, hard to believe that he can't keep the 925-ish range.
Right.
yeah. This decor notably is still like fantastic. Fucking
Bronson Riot, the
second.
second pair. Jesus.
It's just not fair. And obviously, you still got Chambers, Rautiala, and Chambers. By the way, Rautiala is not at heart caliber, so Chambers is doing it instead.
Well, Chambers has actually fallen off. Unfortunately, he was leading the league in points just a few sims ago and has fallen off
Yeah, now
as
he's
of
only
late.
fourth. What a fucking idiot.
Chambers is creeping up though. He's back up 2 point per game. He wasn't quite at point per game a few sims ago. So I've done some line shuffling. Right now I've got Stokes and Struthers top line with Rautiala. Both rookies like not ready. 13-12 shot on Struthers. I believe Stokes is a bit better. Where's he at?
Stokes is
14,
16,
16.
14.
Yeah, so guys are capable of scoring, but not capable of top line play. We did talk about average time on ice, right? With potential like line matches and how the coach plays the lines together, but not where you set them. And Rautiala and Chambers are a little bit below um, like most teams' top 6 centers. They're not quite getting that ice time, so I'm doing a little bit more shuffling up this sim. I'm going to try Lagerberg at 3C and see if they go with like Chambers match line instead of Dean. But I think Lagerberg is pretty close to Dean's CA, so they might still match third line.
Yeah.
Center wise, Rautiola is 22nd in the league on average time on ice, which is weird for a person that, just won the Hart Trophy, right?
Yeah, definitely a little weird. He's actually below Chambers now um, on my team report. So I think Chambers has overcome his CA. I at some point am going to try Chambers going to the top line, but with both Chambers and Rautiala simming really well lately, I don't really want to fuck with it too much.
Yeah. San Jose's been very good in December, notably. So far, I think they've lost like a game. So
Yeah,
it's been working this month.
we're on fire. We did lose to Montreal and we lost to
Oh, there's
one
some
other team
surprise.
earlier this month. Yeah, throw that game didn't happen. We're gonna lose it anyway. We just forfeited and went home. Didn't want to see any more injuries. The other one hurt. Arizona. We lost 4-1 to Arizona on the 9th at home. That one hurt. But other than that, we have had a stellar month. I think the one thing that's killing me the most is Moise as my third pair right D is not
Yeah,
getting the job done.
Moise has been terrible. He has PA, but he's one of those guys who come on, develop already, like
Yep. He's another guy that I gave a 1 year, like, barely raise extension. I gave him 875. He's making 828 right now. So I'm just hoping that him and Tyranny can grow a little bit more. I don't need a lot out of them. Uh, I I paid a third for Moise with a condition that it would scale up to a second if I played him, and I continued to play him to try to get him going. It just didn't happen. I started the season unfortunately without a lot of cap space, so I wasn't able to scratch him and bring up someone else that I could wave back down later when I create cap space uh, to forego that condition to just leave him scratched. I didn't really want to do that anyway because I wanted to see if he could play and grow. He hasn't done that. So I got cap now. If I wanted to bring up someone, I might bring up Adesai and move Born to right D, scratch Moist and play Adesai Born. But they are both. Oh no, Born is a physical playmaker, so I could try that. But once again, Born is simming well. I don't know if that's going to affect that at all. The only other move I could see myself making is if I can't get Stenman extended to trade him so I can actually recoup an asset there, unless I think I can extend him in June and do another sign and trade like I did with Ottinger. What do you
yeah,
guys think?
I am not
Bottom
sure.
six. Bottom six is the other thing that I think I could upgrade.
Oh, 100%. I think the big hole on this team is bottom six. Very easily right now. Like I think this is a very thin bottom six. Um, like if a lot of those team, like if let's say there's an injury to like a top six winger, I don't know who's replacing them. Like Warren.
Pretty much, yeah. Warren would
Ugh.
be second line at best, right wing. I probably wouldn't play him top. If Lysell got hurt, I would probably split up Struthers and Stokes and try to keep goal scorer, playmaker, right? Like I could go Stokes, Chambers, Schmitz, or Struthers, Chambers, Schmitz. Um, and then second line, I would do like Stokes, Rautiala, Warren, or Struthers, Rautiala, Warren. Unfortunately, that kills my playmaking ability on the bottom six. But my bottom six hasn't produced shit for points all season anyway, so
Yeah. Well, right now the bottom six on this team looks like the big hole. This top six is always going to be good with Chambers, Razziola, and like wingers that are competent. Uh, the defense is always going to be good. The big asterisk to me on this lineup is bottom six. I feel like with some of the deeper teams you run into, your LA's, your Colorados, they'll struggle. Like Dean and fucking David Warren. The ad to me is very easily just like a bottom six, either a C or a winger, like a winger or a C to move them to the wing. Like I'm kind of
yeah,
shocked you didn't try Ronan Feeney. I'm shocked you just swapped off him. He's
I
not
did.
bad.
I
Did
tried
he
it.
do bad? He was
No, he
pretty
didn't
good
do
for
bad.
me.
He was about a 7 AVR. He scored a point in like 7
Point.
games.
Well, got some takeaways. Yeah, that's the kind of guy that I think. Like, I'm shocked you got rid of him just because I think
He
that's the kind of guy you should like be looking for, really.
he solidified our penalty kill, which was nice, but I didn't feel was necessary. He was thrown into the Wallstedt deal because the Jets needed contracts to come my way just for contract space. So it was found money. It was a fourth for a guy that was in my AHL until I
Yeah,
called him up because of an injury, and he happened to have a 7 AVR and get a point for seven
yeah.
games. But I was like, eh.
I,
Um,
I I think he's the kind of player that you should be buying. Is kind of why I don't like you selling him. Like, I feel like you might end up buying a player of a similar caliber for like a third. You know what I
uh,
mean?
two
And then
thirds
it's
and a
like,
prospect on the table for a two-way forward that I like significantly more. I don't know if
yeah,
he'll produce that much more, but I like his potential to produce more. Uh, that is a deal I've been waiting on, hopefully to get processed after the roster freeze, but I haven't heard back from the other team.
interesting.
Unfortunately, we've got Warren injured, we've got Lewis injured. I don't have any other right wingers that I think are competent right now, so we have to play Shea Schwint.
Yep, I
Fourth
noticed he's
line
in.
right wing. Yeah, he's made the roster for at least a couple sims. Um, I did try um, for Morant. I don't
Yeah,
think
but
that's going to happen.
it's uh, it's a hell of a price for a rental.
I'm only willing to pay it because one, I want my shot to extend him, see if I can get him to extend. I've got plenty of cap next season. The other reason is I don't want a better team with a better chance to sign him to trade for him and then extend him, and then he doesn't hit the market and I have zero shot at all. Uh, I kind of proposed this question like if you felt like you had a 40% chance to extend Morant, would you trade for him? Would you trade 2 firsts for him and just say, fuck it, I'm going to take that 40% shot? Or would you just sit and wait and see if he hits UFA? If he hits UFA, you're going to have like 12 to 15 teams bidding 15 million on him. Your odds of
And then it's
signing
a
him there,
crapshoot.
and then you have to go with term you don't want to offer, or yeah, and then you're sitting on 5% odds. So I would take that gamble because we need that 3C. Like if I could move on from Dean, get a first, trade that first and my first next year for him straight up, I would do it because then I've got Lagerberg fourth line. I've got my playmaker third line. I can slide Warren down. Like it gives us options. I think we still have a pretty decent prospect pool, but a lot of them are D-men or too far away.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if you get a first for Dean. Honestly, that the way he's playing, I don't think you'll be able to get a first for him. Maybe Lagerberg, but Dean is struggling. He's having a terrible year.
It is unfortunate because last season he was very good second line while Chambers was out, and then kept that production third line. I can't like show other GMs that. So
Trust me,
it's
bro.
like
Trust me, please.
he's still good, I swear. I would probably do the same for Lagerberg. Like I'd trade him for a first, second prospect instead of just a flat first for Dean. I think that's a little. It's probably a bit of an overpay, but for a guy like that who's 29 with another year term, is a reasonable ask. And then just live with Dean walks next year and Schwint becomes our 4C. Those are all
Yeah.
things that I've thought about doing. So I think we still got a couple of moves left, but I'm just sitting and waiting for the right deal to come.
Yeah, it's bottom six for me on this team. I think that without improvement, that'll be the real sticking point.
Probably for another 2 or 3 years, unless we get a nice UFA hit.
You see sticking point because the next team is the Sabres, and
The
Sabres are swords.
Right. I saw it. All right, Buffalo, as we said. Buffalo, I currently have as a fifth in offense, 14th in defense, sixth in net minding. Shield's been great. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, sixth in net minding.
Let's go, my man, Scheichel. Hell yeah.
Scheichel, yeah.
However the fuck he pronounce. You know what? I don't care. He's from the Alps. Who cares?
Scheichel, whatever. Austrian.
That's with an
How-
858 from Dingus.
Yeah, Dingus is so bad.
Dingus has
Scheichel is
played-
playing every game.
Just say, I think this has played like 4 games.
He has
Scheichel's
4
played-
decisions. He's played 5. Yeah.
Right.
Scheichel's played 32 of 35 games. Like he is
What a
horse.
Chad.
Like
Also,
20,
fun thing
27.
about these Sabres is that they have the UN of teams. You have Austria, Belarus, Italians, Russians, Slovakians,
The fuck?
like Swiss, like that's
a
bunch of them,
Belarusian. Like
right.
what?
That's
What
awesome.
you know what? We're multicultural here. That's good
love
for
it.
the Sabres. Their goalies are Swiss and Austrian. What a fucking duo.
It is New York, you know. I mean,
I mean, hey.
Buffalo,
It's-
New York. It's not the same, but
That ain't
it's
the
shitty
same.
Toronto. I lived
I
there
ain't
for
comment.
years. It's shitty Toronto.
I ain't commenting. This is an interesting team because I talked about it with Columbus a bit ago that these teams kind of with a lot of picks. If you are playing better than expected or you want to pivot quickly, you can just move those picks. You accrue the picks and then you just move them instead of picking and waiting.
this is a
Works.
classic Grum move.
Of course. Yeah, seriously, man will not sit there and like let a team develop. We accelerating every time, and I respect it because it's kind of working. A lot of the ads I quite liked. I liked Geeky as an ad. Honestly, I think the big get for him in his eyes was maybe Yurshov. I like Geeky better.
I
Dude,
actually
your
really like
shows.
the Burn Call ad.
Oh wow, all of my former players, eh? Burn Call is
Yeah.
You won the cup.
No, Burn Call was on my third pair.
Jeez.
Didn't really do a lot point wise or like production wise, I suppose. As much as
He's
I
been
was-
kind of middling on
yeah,
the Sabres.
and then I traded
The
Geeky.
European experiment works.
Oh yeah, the European experiment was working a lot. I traded Geeky because I was afraid of his physicals. He's already at 11-10 in his skating, you know, and he has 4 more years on his contract, 3 more years on his contract.
Might have been, yeah, 3 more.
Right. And yeah,
Yep.
Yurshov's on pace basically for his exact same season he always has, which is, 10 goals, 50 points.
37 assists, 47 points. Exactly that, because he gets that every year. He's so predictable. He's gonna do it again. He's on pace.
He has more penalty minutes this year than last year, though. Look at
Oh,
that. He
what
broke
an
the 24.
idiot.
Look at that.
One thing I really appreciate about Grum's maneuvers this year, he did a lot of overseas import purchasing. Like traditionally, he's just like, fuck them picks, fuck them prospects. I am trading for everything I need. He'll get everything he needs. But he did a lot of like trading for those 2 or 3 key pieces and then just let the imports come through. I think
Yeah.
that kind of bit him because I feel like that creates a little bit of like a blend issue. The team doesn't mesh. It doesn't have that like all these guys are NHLers, right? Like they've at least played together before, or they have a CA, they have like a a reputation in the league, if you will.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good.
Yeah. If you look at the Sabres realistically, if you look at the Sabres start of last year and start of this year, uh it's like 90% turnover. These are completely different teams because of all the Europeans, all the trades. There's like two players that have stayed the whole time, realistically. Harrison Allen and
About it.
uh
Uh,
uh
Ding,
Taifer, I think. No, he was
ding,
traded midseason.
Dingus.
Maybe Dingus. Yeah, it's like Harrison Allen's their fucking guy, I guess. And even he was a
Segafredo
European.
has had a really weird season. Yeah, 22 goals, 9 assists. That's Cy Young caliber stats right there, right? But
Yeah.
if you look at the game log, he scored 6 goals in one game and hasn't scored any goals since then, right?
Oh, that's the record, isn't it? That's
Seven's
literally
the
the
record.
NHL record.
Joe Malone has 7.
7.
Yeah.
Joe Malone. Hell yeah, that's the post expansion record. Fuck me. 6 on All right, Segafredo. Okay. Yeah,
Um, Harrison Allen was my nom last season for the Selkie.
yeah,
I think he's an outstanding wing that just plays a great two-way game, even though he doesn't score a ton of points. He scores a pretty good amount of points for a dude who gets the hits and takeaways.
yeah. He for sure deserved the nom. It's just Leonov is in the league, so it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to fucking Leonov.
It's this
that's
the
why I didn't
Leonov
even
trophy,
bother.
you know.
Yeah,
I didn't even bother nomming Leonov because I knew A, someone else would, and B, he would win. But I
yeah.
felt like Allen definitely deserved a shout out.
He did,
This
and he
season, 81 hits, 56 takeaways
already. Yeah, like
Already.
this fucking team is like what an interesting blend of guys I've never seen before, or guys that are like kind of castaways or cap dumps or shit like that. And I think it's kind of slick moving. I think the Deroche move, they need to find the fit on this guy like quick. He's paid 5 mil for like 3, 4 more years. You need to find the fit for the guy like that. But um,
He's on their 4th line currently.
he's is he playing center? Because if so,
Yep,
then
4C.
honestly, I don't even care.
He
All
has
right,
10
fine.
centers, so it's definitely a valid question.
Yeah, this
Who
whole
is
team is centers.
actually playing center? Um,
Yeah, then
he's
it
done
works.
he's done quite a bit of shuffling, so I'd be curious to see who sticks, who gets
Where?
moved, who gets moved to what spot, and then who just gets traded. I don't think he wants to trade anybody, but I assume that here mid-January, early February, you might see
Yeah,
a couple of these centers move as teams start to gear up and try
yeah.
to find that center.
He has picks, a lot of picks too. If he wants to add, one thing I want to mention is that I think this team's defense is fantastic. Like maybe not like elite, but it's good. It's like very good. These are some good. These fucking European nobodies have come in and they're playing good
Uh,
fucking defense.
Oleg Strelnikov, former Shark draft pick.
Is in the NHL for the first time in 5 years, and he's playing really pretty fucking well. Or like
Yeah.
Luke Lefkoff. Who is Luke Lefkoff, bro?
Sounds
Who
like
is
something
this?
that should be
Undrafted.
left off your roster.
Theoretically, but he's like killing it, man.
Killing it, right?
And he got him
Scheichel,
out of Urs,
like,
just like Hungary. I don't know.
and then Scheichel, like a guy that nobody wanted to pay a second for, and Graham said, "Watch
Yeah,
this."
yeah. I was. Oh man, he just beat me, man. I was in on Scheichel too. I just fucking didn't want to pay Swom. I didn't have a Swom. Fuck. But yeah, it's or like Alexiev was an off-season, another off-season acquisition, I believe.
Trade with the
Yeah, for
Rangers, right? Yeah.
Colby Horner. Yeah, and one of the seriously, there's like one remaining guy on this roster from the start of last year. This is a completely different roster, running a ton of guys that have barely seen NHL time or like castaways. And I think a big thing on this team is good usage of guys like Lolier, who's been a castaway and is now actually putting up numbers. Guys like that.
Harold Backlund, former first round Sharks draft pick.
Yeah, he's another one, right? He's complete castaway, and he's been like okay. He's not been anything special. He's been one of the weaker players on this roster, but for sure this is a work in progress, mostly because you got to find the blend.
Yeah. Fun fact: Harold Backlund is the player I drafted between Rico Peter and Antonio Rautiala.
Yeah, and of course Razziello's first. We'll just pretend that was the case. We'll just pretend. Yeah.
It's absolutely wild what the Sabres have done with the roster.
Am I this high? There's no way.
Wild.
The Minnesota Wild, 11th in the league currently. So
Okay.
Minnesota, I have them overall 16th in offense, 19th in defense, both of them net. However, I'll point this out. So their December stats, so from like the last week of November to today in game, they are 10th in offense, 9th in defense, 10th in goaltending, playing at 135-point pace.
Okay.
Wild.
Wild indeed. That's the name of my team. Okay. I had some injuries in October and early November. So the fact that I've been good since then is a great omen. Obviously the depth on my roster is an issue, and like duh. Like my 3C is Adam Barr. So yeah, but frankly, I've been extremely pleasantly surprised by everything going on in the last month or so in game. It's great.
It's wild.
Let's just beat
Like
that in.
That
there
same
isn't
pun.
even there
Let's go.
there isn't it's not even pun anymore. Like it's legit wild. It's crazy. Uh the the point production from your shooting percentage, like just it's not even out shooting your problems. It's just your shooting percentage is
It's the shooting percentage is highest in the league right now. Yeah.
It's very
nutty.
high. I
Nutty
like
fast.
to cope by saying I have a lot of good shooters, which like I have decent shooters, but it's a lot. Yeah,
You're
there's a
bet
lot of
okay.
guys.
Who's the best?
Samoskevich shooting 27% is probably not going to be shooting 27% for the rest of the year. If I were
You
to,
got you got Draisaitl still killing it at 41
yeah,
with 33 points in 35 games.
Yeah,
yeah,
here's the
but
funny part. Best shooter, Leon Draisaitl, 8 goals.
yeah, he's with my definitely not definitely real playmaker Darian Schneider, who like I think Draisaitl's just accepted his fate and feeds the puck to him constantly. Like that first line has been killing it for me. That's my top 3 point getters: is Dry, Glukov, Schneider. That's my
Oh.
top line.
Have
I
you
would.
guys yet to see a what's it called, phenom winger on the database yet?
Is
Yes.
Schneider phenom?
Cole Caulfield was back forever ago.
Okay,
Oh,
that doesn't
interesting.
surprise me, but because that's like original DB. But I have
Right.
yet to see one. I don't think Schneider is it, not on my scout reports,
No,
but I
he's not
only have
phenom.
one report. However, he's only 21 and he's already a 5-star and he's putting up this production. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits phenom before the end of this year or to start next season.
I can see that.
Yeah, this is a dream, man. Schneider is so good. I gotta see what he wants to extend for. Like now, I reluctant to negotiate. I'm just gonna throw money at him.
10 years, 10,100,000 million.
Yeah,
Ooh,
dude, he's a
this is
Minnesota boy too. Oh, iconic.
offer sheet time. Let's go.
Shut the fuck up.
4 firsts. Here you go.
I mean, 4 Montreal firsts aren't worth much.
No, I'm mashing it. I don't give a fuck. Let's offer him 10 by 8. I don't give a shit.
Oh, you think I'd only offer Ted? Oh, honey.
You thought
I
you had cap next year. Oh wait.
no, I still do. My top 6 in general, they're all produce. Like I don't have anybody over a point a game is something. I'm just getting really good production from my whole top 6. Uh, my second line of 4, Brock, Seiler, Tatarin, 2 rookies, and Cyril Seiler. It's been working. Like Tatarin's 12th in the league in shots. He's a rookie. He's like 21. He shoots a
He
lot.
shoots the puck. Vilio with 53 points is not real,
Real.
unfortunately.
Vilio's actual numbers are also quite good though. He's at 20 points in like 32 games.
Yeah.
He's like, for a waiver claim, I'm fucking ecstatic with that. Like, realistically, there's not been too much disappointing on this team. Every year, you can look at a team and be like, this is a disappointment. Who is the disappointment on this team? Realistically, I don't know. I'm perfectly satisfied with just about everything I'm getting. Uh, Norlinder was such a good pickup. That stabilized the fuck out of my defense.
The Cam Nagel extension was sexy as fuck as well. You're extending your window here, making it a little more sustainable. You just gotta
Yeah,
find that goalie.
I need a goalie and a center because Dry is going to retire, obviously, and
Yep.
I that's
Steeler first
two.
line C.
Just get a 1C and a star goalie. It's that easy. But
It's
like,
that simple.
I gotta be on the lookout. I was looking at again. Morant is the dream fit if he had term. He doesn't have term. It's sad.
Yeah, there's no point in making that deal, right? When it's like, okay, well, Draisaitl retires and then I lose my 1C. You're in the same exact boat with Morant. Like Morant
Yes.
walks and I lose my 1C. There's no benefit
Yeah.
there other than getting a little more rep out of your season and hoping that that brings more UFA next season.
Yeah. Hoping my
Um,
board stops fucking hating me, assholes.
have you tried using the board requests to request more money or anything like that?
I should
You
honestly.
should do that July 1st, very first thing. Try it and see if you can blow some dudes away with like offers that nobody else can match.
Yeah, that'll be worth a shot. Yeah, looking at it, I have so many guys scoring like half a point a game or better. Really, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys half a point a game or better, which is
Pretty solid.
I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, like for a team as young as this, where I have a lot of rookies going. Forbrack is obviously a rookie. Tatarin, McNick, Petrus, and Schneider are both like second, third year. I'm super satisfied with the direction of this team right now. I just need to fill in the hard parts. I just one last thing. My power play is killer. It's like it's for some reason really good. My offense in general is like killer.
Yeah,
It's
great
genuinely
special
good.
teams on a win at 6. 8 of the last 10. You're in a good spot right now, man.
Oh, very. Before the season, I was the one doubter, being like, I won't make the playoffs. Well, now I'd be disappointed at this point if I don't make it.
I
Model
want
still has you at 94 points at the end of the season, so that's right on the cusp.
Fringe. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping for it. I want some fucking rep, and I want some playoff experience for like McNick, because every time he shatters his leg in April in the AHL and doesn't get to play in the playoffs.
Rip. I wanted to put Minnesota as my surprise, but I feel like Dallas was being this high was a bit more of a surprise, and I don't think it's sustainable. And I think you're going to continue to go up. Depends on who you jump here. Dallas, Calgary, Colorado. I think all three of those teams have a chance to slip.
Oh,
So
I'd be happy. I think I'm
obviously,
on
I
a bit of
picked
a
my
bender
team
right
as
now.
well, but well, four, five,
If I
and
could
one for
buy,
Dallas, 5, 3, and 2 for Calgary, 6, 2, and 2 for Colorado. I think two of those numbers are consistently sustainable for another month. And even if you fall to like 7-3 last 10, start to lose a couple more games, but for like a month and a half up to deadline, you'll be in good shape.
yeah, I think the big need on my team is like 3C. Berard is playing better than he has on most other teams, which means he's bad instead of unplayable.
I think it's coming down to your all normal slider coach. I think it's working out
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, JVR, man, the Leafs legend, Flyers legend. I don't know if he was on any other teams in this DB.
All right, up next, Florida. Florida,
Hell,
I have.
maybe he was a Florida legend. You don't know. See,
He was a Montreal Canadian at one point, actually.
how dare
Um,
you?
I know. Florida, I have them 11th in offense, 8th in defense, 10th in net minding with a 903. With
Th-
Askarov at a
This
911 so far, which is a little low for him, I feel.
Yeah, for a team that didn't change much, they've been disappointing. Um, really disappointing. I
Zemer and Shear are both hurt.
Yeah. And Zemer's hurt long term. So like yeah, they're. Oh, and Shear was hurt long term. He's still out for a while. So this is. I mean, obviously you're going to comfortably make the playoffs if you're Florida. I feel like they're bound to improve. Obviously, they're still in that window where fucking please, man, please, cup, please. But yeah, no, I still love this team. I don't even know what the ads are. They have a first. I'm pretty sure to move 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and a first in the next 2 years. So you can add if you're this team pretty easily. I think it's probably like a winger or a high NC to move um a guy to wing. But realistically, I think if you just grab another like a guy to play right wing effectively, a Cole Caulfield, for example, who's a guy I know is on the block. Although I don't know if you could fucking afford him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this team is pretty close to the cap.
Let's see, where are they projected? They are projected to finish the season at 107 points, so expect them to rev on up a bit here.
That doesn't surprise me. Like I don't know. Your stats don't factor like historical goaltending. I don't think, but like Askarov is better than a 9-10.
That's
I don't
true.
know why he's playing like that. It's not like he's physically regressing. He looks the same. He looks the fucking same. I think maybe his agility went down by one, but like it's still
It's
18.
still 18.
Like
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
should be fine. He's still Askarov. He's still a franchise guy. His projection is still 950. Like
They don't have a single point per game player, or a Zemer, I guess, but not really,
God.
which
No,
is
a
weird.
lot of
Lambert's at 25 out of 33 games, so it's not terribly close
tons of
either.
guys underperforming on this team.
Yeah.
Really, like lots of underperformance. We talk about a team like Calgary or like me, where it's a lot of guys performing better than you'd expect. You look at this team, like Pierre Shear is not like 18 points in 29 games. Like Hawkins is doing good. Scheidegger is like half a point a game. It's like are you that happy about it with the way you're performing? Like, I'd almost wonder if it's maybe like a coach issue because
Perhaps, right. PDO wise, I mean, the statistic PDO tries to effectively measure luck by shooting percentage and save percentage, but it does it by trying to get, like, relative to the number 100. If you're above 100, your percentage is above 100, right? So 100 is considered average, and the Florida Panthers are at 100.02. So they're playing, quote unquote, exactly as they should be goal wise, which is weird for a team this good.
I don't. You even said it. They're like ninth, 12th, all that shit. They've been pedestrian, which is unexpected for me. Like,
Uncharacteristic for them, right?
They have
yeah,
had
like
their same head coach for years now, Antoine Roussel,
I think
with the
he's a
direct attacking.
coach, isn't he? Fuck, I don't know. Like this team has been a little bit of an underperformer. Not the worst underperformer in the league. There's way worse. But similar to Washington, I came into the season expecting them to be, or like, I didn't expect it with Washington, but a lot of people did, where you'd expect them to be like top and they're kind of just good instead. That's kind of where Florida is. They're good instead of great. And if you're trying to break the curse of give me a fucking playoff round already, is this the team to do it? They don't look that strong, is the thing. Like, can they get past Montreal realistically as they are now? And I don't think
They've
so.
done it before. I wouldn't say that they can't, but I'm pretty confident if I went into a playoff series with them right away. And this is bulletin board material for Mark. I understand.
Yeah, Mark's just gonna fucking write this down when he buys like a high.
He
I
buys
do think
Morant.
the ad
Ah,
is a
God
high
damn
Write
it.
this
You know
down.
what? That's a fit.
uh,
Although I don't know if he has the assets to make it work, but like Morant is cheap, which he needs a cheap guy. Hey, move Jordan in here. We're about to have a new guest. Because Angus had out. So here's a replacement for Angus. Hey
Jordan.
Jordan.
Hello, friends.
Greetings.
We
Hello, friend.
we are currently discussing the Florida Panthers and how they've been kind of underwhelming and like pedestrian.
Something I just noticed with the Florida Panthers is that the director of personnel is Brian McCabe, and that makes me laugh.
Hell yeah, they got a lot of ex-players, huh?
Business
I mean,
acumen.
I was predicting them to win for the longest time, but I guess 20 and 11 isn't bad though. Like, I guess their goal differential is quite slim, like 13 goals difference.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe they're just not as impressive as they were last couple seasons.
yeah, that's the thing we've been saying is like they're good. They're gonna make
Not
the
great.
playoffs, but
Right.
I don't know if they have like even a chance of beating your fucking Montreal, right? Like these last few years, I've been like torn on it. Hell, last year when Florida and Montreal played in the second round, I picked Florida. That was like one of the two series I got wrong. Was Florida Montreal. Um, wow, this team staff really is just all ex players. Boone Jenner, Jesper Fast.
Linus Olmark.
Hell, Mason Marchman. Yeah, this is just all ex players. Yeah, no, like I wonder what it is. Really, maybe it is coach. Maybe it's just injuries. Because yeah, Shear's out, but like even like Lambert at this this is
This
underwhelming
isn't
for
Lambert,
Brad
right?
Lambert. That's very underwhelming. He's usually like a 70-point guy, so to be doing, I mean, he still might hit 70. Like I don't know. Who's the real bit? Like Konovalov is underperforming pretty fucking hard. He's like a 40-point guy, and he's on pace for like 25 or 40
40
goal
goal
guy
guy,
rather.
right? Yeah. He's only on pace for like 45 points.
Yeah, seriously. He's yeah, a lot of guys on this team just not playing as they should be. I think the pick you still obviously add. We, I mean, if you can find a way to make Morant work, yes, get Morant and then move one of these guys to wing. It fits the cap situation too. You're pretty thin to it. Morant is cheap. It's perfect. Like that is, dude. The price for Morant is high. Like if it lowers, yeah, you fucking do it.
He looks so good, and he's like playmaking. He's everything. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know if
he's
it's
what you
iconic.
want.
Panthers have
He's
almost
what you
$10
want.
million in cap space, too.
I think that's with Zimmer on
Oh,
Yeah,
IR.
LTIR.
you,
But
you
that
have to
still
take
accrues,
you have to
though.
take to an account Zimmer's 7 million cap hit.
Yes. So they have like 5 mil in cap, so they can add. They can make like a legitimate ad, and they have picks to make a legitimate ad. But um, as is, whelming is how I describe the Panthers. I've been so high on them these last few years, and I'm kind of just whelmed.
Right.
Add winger. That's all I'm saying. Winger or Morant.
All right. Up next are the Arizona Coyotes, who
Who
I have, if I can find them, their first Arizona.
they were on a fucking bender of like percentages
I
for a
have
while.
them 8th in offense, 16th in defense, 5th in goaltending.
Yeah, Drew Comesso's a 923.
Drew Comesses
Why?
been
How?
pretty good. Yeah.
In
Why?
31 games. He's playing like nearly all their games too. He's 31 out of 34. They're just riding him. He's 923. Like, okay. I don't know. Like, fine.
It's working. I mean, I suppose, right?
Yeah, this, I mean, it's probably why they're in the playoffs. Realistically, is how fucking good Comessa has been.
This is also a very underratedly old team. Like, you know, you got Keller still in the game. You still got Cole Caulfield, Victor Soderstrom, Alexis Lafreniere, Comesso, Kolosov, Byfield. Like, these are all like 34, 35 plus players. You know, like,
Yeah,
yeah, they have young guys like 19, 21, 22, but like, there's the 6 or 7 super veterans in comparison to 2 or 3, you know,
yeah.
rookies.
The issue with the young guys too is that the young guys are the ones playing badly. Like the weakness of this team is the young guys mostly.
True.
Like Linder, man, holy bust. He sucks, man. Linder's so bad.
Career high of 50 points, and that's seasons ago, and he's not nowhere close to be on pace for that.
Oh, he is following up his last season of being terrible with another season of being terrible. I I really think Botmac should try this guy in wing. Like, I don't think he can play C. Like, unfortunately, obviously, because you get a guy like this, and you're like, yeah, C, like top C. I don't think he can be that. I think the fix to Linder is to just give him some time on wing. The thing is, of course, saying that, who are you replacing him with at C?
Currently, he's 4C, so that's not a tough ask, I suppose.
Who's playing 3C?
Let's find out.
Yeah, I think a Locon guy on 4C is okay. Like I don't have a problem with it
Valente is
necessarily.
playing 3C.
No, I don't have a problem with it in theory, but Linder is like terrible at it. And like his morale is just getting fucking killed. I think you gotta put a guy like this in a position to succeed. And I think that's probably one of the things that's held Arizona back in this last little bit from being like a real contender. Instead, they're just like a playoff team pretty consistently. Um, Linder needed to develop better. I his development got stunted at some point. I don't know. He has never really excelled at any level he's been at doing anything.
Yeah, it looks like he needs time on the wing to get his morale up so he can
Yeah.
do that. But I don't know. I don't know if he is a center. You could try him way up the lineup with like your best players and see if he can just get carried. But I don't know. It'd be hard.
Yeah, that's my issue with Linder is I think he's like he seems cooked to me. Like he's 25. He needs a new start, really. But like if you're Arizona, this is the thing with giving guys new starts. If you're Arizona, who is paying more than like a second
That's a trade you
for
can't
Linder
win.
right now? You can't win this trade. It's like a second for Linder is probably what you get. Realistically, like I'd probably do that. Just fucking throw him on a wing, see if he works. Because I really think he could excel and develop as a winger. But at the age of 25, time is running out. He's going to be a UFA, if not after this year, after next year. He's going to be a UFA. Like he is kind of running out of time to make this guy work. Um, and
And
I don't really love a lot of the prospects on this team either.
they also really want to sell, as per usual, it seems
Yes,
like. They have
I
things
think
to
it's the right
sell.
call.
They have a
Oh,
lot of
for
things to
sure.
sell. Moser, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, as I said, they have all the old guys. They have like 4 or 5 expiring. It's the thing that a large portion of their older individuals have more than 1 year. Um, like this, Cole Caulfield has this year and next year, which could be appealing, especially since his physicals are still there. Granted, he's out for 2 months, so actually that might make it easier to trade because you don't have to worry about the cap.
Yeah, you have a lot of time to deal with cap, but honestly, this team is kind of underratedly really injured right now. Caulfield out long term, Arard out long term. When those guys are back, if they don't end up selling them, I can see this team turning it around a bit. But the thing is, I feel like Comesso will also regress. So maybe their goaltending regresses and their offense gets healthy and picks up, and they just stay where they are as like a fringe playoff team that probably can't do much against a team like LA, who is the team to beat in the West. I Yeah, it's a hard position to be in. I think selling is probably correct, maybe, but I don't know how many of these guys have super high value because they're untouchables. They've said are Arard and Cantagallo, and I think those are the guys with the real value on this team. Like Luneau, maybe too. I think you could probably get a haul for Luneau, but he's paid a fuck ton. That's going to be a hard move to do
That's
in the regular
probably an
season.
off-season one, yeah, where you have more.
Their defense is so good. It's
It
probably
really
kind of what
is.
carries the team a little bit.
Yeah, they're 100% carried by defense and Comesso being like strange. Like this is abnormal.
Their
Yeah,
defense is also super old.
yeah, it's
32,
old,
32,
but
35, 33, 36, 34, and then you have 28 and 19.
yeah, Moser is really starting to fall off. He's been good in his career, but uh, not really this year. He's fallen off finally. So realistically, yeah, those few guys, Sova, Luno, Soderstrom, they're fucking great. Uh, and I feel like you could get good assets back for them towards the deadline, but we will see. Um, Once they start selling that defense, especially, I feel like this is a team that might slip out of the playoffs, and a team like, say, like Vancouver might sneak back in over them uh, if they sell sufficiently. Because I don't think
Or,
Vancouver's going to be selling.
or that team, the other Pacific team that just added a good center that might make a push.
We'll get to you. I think you're too far back. I could be wrong.
I'm probably too far back, but we'll see. Yeah.
Right. Up next are Chicago, the Hawks. Um,
We had a
s-
long discussion about them in general a bit ago. This is
New GM.
new
New
GM.
GM, Misty's taken over them. Yeah, 13th in offense, 10th in defense, 19th in net so far. But LDP got hurt for a decent portion there, and
They
he
played
still played
Harrison
30
Gross.
games. And Harrison Gross did not do well. And
Harrison, disgusting. 8-10.
their AHL guy also played some. Edmonds. I typed numbers in for him. I remember that, and he didn't do
Oh
well
no.
either. 840 for him. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But before not Kirkby, LDP got hurt, they were like a 909 average, and like around 10th, 15th in the league in goaltending.
Yeah, they ride LDP like a fucking horse. Their backup sucked. So,
Right.
yep.
Like this is a team
Again,
that's fine, but not great. But yeah, a couple pieces, and I could see them being really special. Not something special, but like something like a legit playoff contender.
I think I
upset.
was talking these guys up last playoff preview, and I
Yeah.
really like their depth. And it still looks like they just kind of score by committee, which I think is like a great position to be in EHM, because if you're scoring by committee and you don't mess with it too much and you know what works and what doesn't, just adding a couple pieces that are like really elite can make you like a much better team like very quickly. Like having that depth and then adding is a nice spot to be in, kind of thing.
I'd agree with that. I think this is I like Chicago, honestly. They've been underperforming in my eyes. For one, because they added Barry Thomason, who we talked up preseason, and he's barely playing. I feel like Misty will probably play this guy at all. But yeah, no, like they have good depth. They don't really have super top flight talent other than Logan Marceau, but
He's having a bit of
yeah,
a down year
bit of a down year, but
by
he's still
his
like
standards, right?
yeah, his standards, he's still like ninth in the league in shots. He still generates a fuck ton. I think it's just his shooting percentage is down.
It's
Nope.
actually up from last
Normal.
year.
Low as fuck last year. He still put
Still
up these
good,
points. Nice.
29. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, no, like this team is obviously super old and they don't have firsts for the next 2 years. But oh my god, they don't have any picks this year. But or next year. Jesus fuck. I we had this discussion in general, I remember, where the duality between, do you just blow this up and say fuck it, like next year you're like, I'm terrible and I don't have picks and I'll just cry about it, or do you just try to win these 2 years? You try to move what you can and then you say fuck it in 2039 and be the worst team ever seen. I lean to the latter with a team like this.
Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago.
I mean, they have a bunch of guys like 28 plus kind of thing.
Yes, it's old.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not a bad spot to be in, but like if that were my team, it would depend on where my window was, but like that's kind of like 30, 32. Like I want to sell them before that because I don't know. That's just how I play, but I don't know.
Well, ideally, you would like to sell them sooner rather than later. It's just that they don't have their first round picks. So, like, if you're selling them to get
First,
right,
third, next 2 years, they don't have
Yeah.
any of those.
that's the issue with it, right? So, like, ideally, you would. I agree with you on that, but like,
Well, if
sell
they're underperforming, maybe they'll even out, right?
Yeah, I think I think this is a pretty comfortable playoff team in my eyes. They're kind of on the fringes right now. They had a terrible stretch in December. They had a really bad December. Lots of losses. They had like one win. It was a shootout win. So maybe
Yeah.
not the best. But realistically, I think this is a team that can pick it up. And we had this discussion. You could sell and just be sad about it that you don't have any of your picks. But I think if you buy a little bit, um, using the thing is your assets obviously are slim. You have like 3 good prospects. You see if somebody
Well,
will take like Hughes. I don't know.
I think the West is a lot more open now that, or LA is really good though. I guess like LA and San Jose, or yeah, San Jose are still probably the teams to beat. Even though it's hard to tell with San Jose though, because but they have Wallstead now. So
Yeah.
like, I assume like, I don't know. That's kind of any team going up against that guy in the playoffs is not in like good position, I guess.
Chicago's in the easier division, I'll say. The Central
Yeah,
is easier. If they can sneak into that 2-3 spot and play like me or Dallas, like yeah, dude, like that's
yeah.
fine.
I think it's much more open this season. Like Dallas, like it's kind of like LA, and then everyone else. Like they're almost all even within the same, point spread. They're all within 5 points of each other.
It's second through 10th. We were saying it's within 10 points, so
Yeah,
the West is tight. And I think any of these swings where they lost 6 in a row, they went from like third in the fucking conference to ninth really quickly, and now they're eighth. So I
That's the
I,
LDP
I
injury.
Yep, Harrison Gross, the legend. But I think this is a perfectly serviceable team that hopefully you can get a good player for cheap. Obviously, like yeah, just get a good player if you don't have any picks. It's that easy. But like,
Tough
man,
ask.
it would be so nice if they could. That's it.
I thought they had lot more depth on left wing last season.
I think guys left. Let me take a
'Cause
look.
I think Moore was like the third on his depth chart, even though he's pretty decent. Like
Let's see,
PA
players out.
probably. I don't know what his PA is, but
Let's see. Let's see. Players out. They had to get rid of Adam Fox in the offseason as a cap dump. But other than that, I don't think they lost anyone left wing.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
I
I don't think
mean,
so.
yeah, maybe it's just not a good mix, or I don't know. Their centers don't look super elite. Like,
They
I
don't
don't
have
know.
any elite centers, but I kind of like all of them. Like,
Yeah, they
I
don't look
think they're
bad
all
for
good.
sure.
Just none are great. Is kind of the issue you're having here. And Zegras is maybe worse than I remember him being. He's fallen off.
Well,
Yeah, he's also 4. So
it's hard. It's hard to win with like a team that's not doesn't have those elite pieces, because like you're gonna run into those teams that do have the elite pieces, and the ones that are good have 2 or 3 of those pieces. So it's like if you don't have any, then I guess this guys would be the goalie, right? Goalie, maybe Prokop.
It's like Prokop and Marsu. That's your elite pieces on this team, which aren't at the primo positions where that matters. Like the issue is, yeah, if you run into like a Chambers or Ociala, I think they just run you into the dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's worth pushing a touch. Um, I think if you can somehow get a little bit with the very few assets you have, you push, you try to be decent, and then you probably just die in 2 years. It's terrible.
all right, up next, the Devils, New Jersey. Um,
Uh,
currently,
hell yeah.
currently expected to be a 97-point team, 12th in offense, 7th defense, 21st in net. And yeah, they have Stark and Chichelev in net, and Chech has the higher of the 909. I mean, they're fine as we're in the level of mid at this point, right? Like this is
Early.
probably upper mid, I suppose, if we wanted to specify it specifically. But um, there's also the wrinkle of them not having their first round draft pick, but that's only if they don't only if they make the playoffs, right?
If they miss the playoffs, it becomes their second. It gets moved to May
Okay.
instead.
So this is weird that there might be wanting to miss the playoffs in this, then,
Yeah.
right?
They they are selling, and like probably the best place to be would be if you could just completely collapse and then like great.
Great.
You have your own first in a decent draft. You get another star defenseman because that's what this draft is. But I don't know. This team still confuses me. Like Novikov, I'm shocked he's back in the A. I thought he was doing pretty good in the NHL. Yeah, he was doing all right. I'm shocked Novikov isn't in the NHL still. Uh, the wings on this team are kind of what get me really. The wingers are thin on this team.
They also have 11 players expiring at the end of the season. UFA
I
expiring, not UFA RFA. No, 11 UFAs.
maybe yeah. This might be a blow it up because yeah, these are good players expiring too. It's like
You
they're
just
like
drafted
valuable
Graf, yeah.
pieces.
His centers are insane. Like, what
Yes.
the fuck is Bedard? Like, all these guys, like they all show up as defensive, but like look at their ats or their text, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like 5 guys deep. Like for a guy like LaRue to be at the bottom is kind of, or number 6 or whatever. Yeah, number
Yeah,
5. Like, that's insane. That guy's like fucking jacked.
yeah, and like New Hook and Veneers are both old, but they're still pretty effective fucking centers. Like this, it's interesting. Their goaltending had a downgrade in the offseason. Portillo just left in UFA, and they had to replace him with Chech. And
Look at the guy that got coming up though, Kopanen.
oh, I love Kopanen. I was gonna do Addison straight up for Kopanen. He told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah,
So
I'd be worried about his cons, but like, I don't
yeah,
like. I mean, I'll scout him again, but
I
he's the guy
believe
that I would.
yeah, his comp is Dubois. Like obviously he's a
Yeah.
star. Like
I have Kaiser as his
fantastic
comp.
prospect. Oh my god.
And then he has also Graf and Fair, who also looks good.
Raph's been pretty fucking effective in the end. We keep talking about these rookies that are like really performing. Braff is one of them. He's been pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he looks good.
How's Fair doing in the NHL? Fine, adequate. I think they have him on wing. Yep. I think this team you could go one of two ways again. You could just sell off all those guys because you have your first if you miss the playoffs. It's a pretty comfortable position to be in because then you lose your second instead. What that sucks, but you live with it. Um,
Yeah, I
if
mean this. Sorry.
you could just blow it up, or you could like wingers aren't expensive. And wingers.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the pieces he has coming up, especially the goalie. Like, he's already 21, so you could like literally sell now and get draft picks and just try to get a bunch of picks. But I'm not super high on this draft. I know there's definitely a few good centers in there, but I'm worried about not being able to get one or picking one that I shouldn't pick in the spot I'm in. So, but like, and this guy is Graf. He's got Novikov. He's got Kopanen. Fair. Like, he's got
That
4 like
top
really
four.
good guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that top four prospect is fantastic. That's a really, really solid top four. But yeah, no, you have multiple routes if you're New Jersey. You can either just say fuck it, blow it up. These top four, it's an interesting set of four, right? You got one of each position. Here's a core center, a core goalie, core defenseman, core winger. One of each, right? Like perfect. That's what you want. You have a star, high end prospect at every position. So fuck it, right? You can build around those, or you can build now around Bedard. Because the thing is, Bedard expires in how many years? 3 or 4? 4 years. 2040. So
2040. Yeah.
I don't know if you're selling all the way. I don't know if you're going to be able to assemble a proper team around Bedard in that time. I think maybe yes, maybe in his like last year of his contract, maybe second last, but
You don't need to
it's
sell Bedard at all. Like, you could
no,
keep
you could
Bedard
just
until he
keep his ass.
retires.
You
Yeah, yeah.
keep his ass. You try to re-sign him for sure.
You know the
But
easiest way to tank this team? Find someone to play 820 in net. Throw them in. You don't have to really tank the team or sell everyone on the team if you're worried about rebuilding it. But just someone to tank it for this season and come back better next year. The way to do it be throw
find some idiot.
some idiot.
Sagan.
Throw Grum in net.
Sagan in the AHL was kind of that, right? Like He could totally be that if he wanted. His first career start was a shutout, and his second career start was an 833. So the duality of man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I kind of like what they're doing. They're trying to sell off New Hook. They're trying to sell off presumably Beniers, all these guys, Fabro. Um, Pie Smith is expiring, and he should. That's a good fucking player. it's,
Yeah.
a, it's a really good player. Yeah, I don't know. The thing with this team is definitely once if Smith leaves, this defense is really thin. Um, and their wingers are already really thin. Like I already don't like him much. So,
Well, I
Certainly.
think he probably runs a lot of his centers as
He
wings.
oh,
throws,
of course, but
yeah,
like
new hooks on the wing on his
still,
first line.
like I think you need if you're gonna excel, you need either like you could use a star winger if you're this team. Like it's a weird position to be in where you could use like a Koivunen, right? Like that's who you could use, or like a Cass,
Gunther. You
a
could think
Gunther,
Gunther.
yeah,
Yeah.
like guys like that. But you could also just say fuck it and sell, and I think that's what Angry Canadian is doing, and I respect it. Fuck it, build around Bedard and this core four of like 19 to 21-year-olds because they look good. They all look good.
Okay, so up next is the. Oh, should we do the team that's last in the playoff spot, or we want to go to the team that's not in the playoff spot, still above them in points?
Let's do last in the playoffs
Okay,
first.
so Pittsburgh is in the playoffs still, 37
Yeah,
points. Um,
the East is worse than the West this year at the bottom end, I think,
it is
which is
weird.
surprising. I
Um,
wasn't expecting it.
Offense 14th, defense 13th, goaltender 18th and 895. Expected point finish 91.
Just thoroughly mid, right? Like
Super mid.
just extremely mid is how I describe the Penguins right now.
Rodrigue at a 905 is very mid at best. Doverani at 844. Ouch. And Posma at 894. Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh has assets, right? There's assets on this team. DDP, who I always bitch about, his offense, his role has to be like 10, 12, like that. That's what he is. But um, he, I don't know, like this team is just thoroughly mid and pretty close to the cap, which is not the best place to be.
No.
The thing is, they have all their picks, so if they want to like say fuck it, tear it down, sell, they have assets for sure. They have assets. There's really good assets on this team. Minchikov is old, sure. Oh, he's not even that old. He's a fucking good player.
They have
33-year-old.
2.7 million currently, so that's probably going to balloon up to like 3.5, 4, 5-ish come deadline.
So they could add,
They also have
but
3 extras on their roster, so if they wanted to cut more, there's some more savings there, I suppose.
I just like the need is a center who is good, like offensively good, because they have a lot of these defensively good players, but like
Well, I really think it's they don't have a winger who is like a game breaker. Like, and I think that you could say that for a few of these last teams. Like, they don't have a winger that's simming over, and these are generally players that are like easier to find than maybe other players that sim the same. Like a player over a
yeah,
point per game sims like 8+ or something like that. I know like there's not too many of them, but it seems like if they can get a few of these players just to get their centers going, they'll look a lot better. Because I don't know, it's hard to tell. Like they have Dare going, they have Spot Check going. I don't know if these players are actually playing center, but
they are both those
yeah,
guys.
I'd argue
So
they
like
have
yeah,
one, and that's Morocco, but he's having a down year this year.
he's
He's
had a couple of down years after having
40.
like a
He had 41 last year. 41 goals
I
last year.
guess
43. No, I'd be pretty high on him.
I'm not as high on him as I was. He
Fair.
it kind of looks like he peaked in the early 2030s. Is kind of how it
Yeah,
looks with.
no, I could see that. I could totally see that. But, I could still see him be a 45, 50 goal scorer. So,
But like they have him with like Spacek, for example, right now. I think, or was it with Dare? Because it should be with Spacek if it's not.
he's with Dare.
it should be with spot check.
It's Lavoie, Dare, Morocco, Noir, Spacek, Blanche.
I hate I hate that setup. Maybe it's that. Like, why
All around,
two
all
all-around
around
guys
goal.
and Morocco?
Right.
Set the man up. Like,
Well, their scoring in the first two lines doesn't look great. Like they're
Yeah.
all none of the, it's not bad. Like their first line, whatever it is, they're pretty close to point per game. But their second line, however the mix is, they not really good enough, and then it just kind of falls off. Like their third line looks kind of okay, if that's how they're running it, and they're hitting 0.5, which I kind of would is like a minimum. And the fourth line just looks dead. Like I don't know. They have a few players on this team that are just not putting up points.
anything, yeah.
Yeah.
There's only two either goal scorers or playmakers in their top six, and that's Morocco and Spacek. The other ones are all arounds. You have Eddie on the fourth line on the right wing. He has a 20-20 shot. That's a perfect person to be set up to be a turret at least. You know, I
We
just
we
disagree with their
we
lines.
talk about it. We talk about it every time with the Penguins. I they have too many all-around players. Like, they're built to be like a defensive stalwart, but that doesn't work in EHM where you have like 20 all-around guys and like two goal scorers. That doesn't work. I just don't think that blend of lineup works. And like DDP is kind of a fake offensive center. Even he's finesse, but like he doesn't put up offensive numbers. He's a good defensive player who doesn't put up offensive numbers. That's what he is. So like, what a weird team, right? Like, you're all defensive. You just need playmakers, really. You guys to carry the puck and set shit up. That's what you need if you're this roster.
Yeah, playmakers can make a huge difference on a team.
Yeah, just like any decent playmaker, right? My first thought is like Brian Van Horn on fucking wherever the fuck he's now.
He is now.
Detroit. Like that's my first thought. Like a guy who doesn't do much as a winger other than pass. That's it. Like, good. That
Yeah. I've learned like in playing in no tactics, I've learned that like playmakers in with tax, I don't know. Like sometimes they can get going, sometimes they can't. It's always like hard, but for in no tax, if you don't have guys passing the players the pucks, they're just like I don't know what they do. Like I don't know what they do in the sim, but like they don't score. That's for sure. They don't shoot the puck either. Like they're just like they don't have the puck. Maybe if they do, I have no idea what happens.
yeah, looking at this team, guess their number of playmakers.
I have no idea. You could say like
Two.
one or two, probably.
One.
One.
Spot check.
Spacek. That's it.
That's it. That's it. You need more. You just need more. They have one playmaker and two goal scorers. You just need more than that. Like this whole team is like all around power defensive. That doesn't work.
Well, I mean, it's the thing is maybe this or someone at some point in time misevaluated like roles in trade acquisitions. So they were looking at all these like high techs and everything, and without realizing that like, okay, this player looks good, but he's he's not the player on the line that puts the puck in the net. He just does something else. So
I think that is kind of it, and not necessarily in trades, because I think a lot of these guys are drafted. I think they went really hard with drafting all around guys. Like Dare is obviously really good, but he's all around. Miller is obviously really good. I think you can find a team and like make maybe a slight downgrade for a better role, and I think that makes your team better. Like 100%. If you
yeah,
trade like Dare for a slightly worse playmaker, that makes your team better in my eyes.
yep, it's true.
I it's a struggle with them. They always disappoint me. This fucking team. Like and every time I'm like, oh, it's because they have 14 all around forwards. Like it just doesn't work to have that many. You need a blend, and they don't have a blend.
Okay, so that's all of the playoff teams currently.
Yep.
Team sitting outside of the playoffs right now in the West currently is the Vancouver Canucks, who I have to be
Barely.
a 100-point team, so they are expected to make the playoffs according to this model. They are 22nd in offense, 18th in defense. But this is why the model loves them so much, is because they're second in net minding, with Billsberger doing a lot of saving and a lot of stopping of the pucks.
Why is Billy so good?
And Avi Kubel is also on 920. So they have
Why
they
is
have it's the tandem boost for regular season success that we're seeing with that, in my opinion.
my God. This team's been a bit weird. Another one where I look at them and I'm like, there's guys underperforming on this roster pretty significantly. Most notably Joshua Nordstrom. He is really pedestrian this year. Kind of regressing a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Jornstrom
Weird.
hasn't been the greatest. They don't have a single point per game player. The closest one is Wuthrich with 27 and 35, and that's a 60-point pace if I do math right.
Yeah, and he's like an okay player, but
yeah,
like
that's fine. But like, best player on the team is 60 points isn't ideal to say the least.
yeah. Vancouver's a weird roster where like for the number they this feels like a cop out, but they're not that talented.
No,
There just aren't that many
Linus
good players on
Berglund
this team.
is a perfect example of what the team is representative. I feel like, I have
Yeah.
no clue why he's this. I don't know, good, not great, but like, yeah, he's fine, I suppose. Production wise, I don't get him.
I feel like that's the thing with Vancouver right now is they have prospects up and coming, not like an insane amount, but they have quite a few guys that like Caden LaRose, I think is like I'm shocked Caden LaRose isn't in the NHL right now. I think you could totally just give him a shot. Uh, Juberg is like close at the very least. Guys like that. Nolan Crowder, I think you could give Nolan Crowder a shot probably next year. Yeah, they have like young players that are good. Dan Rossi is playing pretty fucking well in the A. Thing is though, of course, is like, yeah, right now this team is thoroughly mid, and I don't know how you improve it too much at the deadline.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't necessarily know what your direction is here for this season. Like, yeah, there's a plan in the future, I suppose. It's 2, 3 seasons down the line, and they have a lot of younger players currently on the roster that are playing fine. Playing above average even. Like, yeah, sure, even Nordstrom's having his down year, but like at 23, that's an asset you hold on to for a while. Like Abe Kubel's at 23 as well.
Yeah.
But what do you do with like your Podkolzins and Billsburgers? Do you punt on the season, or do you really want to not tank? It's a little too late to tank right now because you're not going to catch up to the true tankers. But you're also not going to do anything really in the playoffs unless you just want to get your younger players playoff experience.
Yeah, which wouldn't be bad, honestly. Like, see at the end of the year, you call up your LaRoses, you call up your Crowders, and you get them some NHL playoff experience. Even if it's getting shredded in 4 games by the Kings, it's not that bad to just get them some playoff time. But I wouldn't like. The reason I didn't like the Decoria move last year is not because Decoria is bad. He's quite good. It's just like this team
But like,
doesn't
right?
look that close to ready to me, really. Like, even if you add those 4 high-end prospects that I mentioned, that's 2 wingers, a defenseman, and a low-con center. Is that making you high end? Really, I think there's a lot of work to be done with this team. Is kind of how I view them.
Yeah, and those prospects aren't the highest in CA wise currently. Like, yeah, they'll be NHL contributors, but they're not going to be NHL stars or like, needle pushers, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the issue I'm running into with Vancouver in my head is I just don't see them as like that deep of a prospect pool or that good right now. I think they don't quite have that level of identity that a lot of these other teams have, whether above or below them in the standings.
Well, at least they're fitting their real life identity of the Canucks of not having an identity.
I really didn't like that Destro trade too. I thought that was really not great for him.
Yeah, it was jumping the gun. I think. I think the team needed some more time, and we'll talk about jumping the gun later with the with the. I think preview. I think we'll say Edmonton jumped the gun a bit, but
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, Vancouver. I honestly think maybe it's just you stand pat and just see how it
See how
goes.
it goes,
Maybe you
right?
flip Billy. I don't
Maybe
know.
it's to do some tinker around the margins, I suppose, at most. But
Yeah,
Do they have their first?
yeah. They have all their picks this year, I believe.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Let me just
just
double
they
check.
need to keep those and gets like a good goal scorer or something like that. Even winger doesn't matter, center, whatever.
Yeah,
time for the hottest team in the league currently, the Winnipeg Jets. Actually,
yeah.
1-1. Um, they just recently traded Wallstedt, so their goaltending metrics are going to be a little janky here. But let me see if I can find Winnipeg. Right, Winnipeg's right there. I
The
have them
Leston's been good for them.
20th in offense, 22nd in defense, 7th in net minding. So Celestin's
Are
been
Are Celestin's stats fucking broken? Why is he
good.
28 games?
Yeah, what the fuck? I have them somewhere else. Let me see. I can read them off. Celestin in his 31 games on the season in total, so that's between here and in San Jose. He
Oh
has
wait,
a
he actually just has been in Winnipeg that long.
oh
That
shit, yeah,
28
he
is
is,
correct.
yeah, 28 is correct.
Huh.
Yeah, and he's a 907 on the season in total between here and San Jose, worth 8 goals above average and -7 goals against a starter, the average starter.
Yeah,
So he's
it's
been good, not great, I suppose, or fine. He's
that's
not
exactly how
costing
I.
them. He's not costing them games, but he's not winning them any games either. But they're also 8-1-1 in their last 10. So I don't know what they've necessarily changed recently, but it's working. I mean, well, I just looked at who they beat. Well, that's probably why they beat the Leafs. They beat the Blues in a shootout. They lost to the Hawks in a shootout. They beat you. Sorry, bud.
Oh,
They beat the
my one
Stars
loss of
technically.
December.
Your one loss in December, yeah. No, they beat the Senators. They beat the Lightning. Like it's a lot of they were preying at a lot of weaker teams. There's a couple good wins in there as well. Like they beat the Panthers, they beat the Stars, but it's a lot of preying on weaker teams that they've done.
Those wins over Dallas and like me, especially, are
Are
like
the
those are the
ones,
guys
yeah.
you're competing for a playoff spot with. You gotta win those, and that's pretty fucking huge for them. I I I just don't love this team. I liked the Celestin move, I think, because like realistically, with Wallstedt, you're not getting that much. Like
You
they
saved
have,
9 million in cap space, and
yeah,
you effectively reset your goalie clock by 5 years.
yeah, realistically, like
Kaiser's ready soon, probably. If he's high con, I don't know.
yeah, Kaiser is, I think mid con.
I have a Chistikov comp for him.
I have Rasky.
I have a Rasky comp by another scout.
So I don't think he's like super high PA, but he should be something. Celestin is still pretty young, and they just signed him for forever, so he should.
Oh, they also only have 2 goalies. Try to get that one fixed there, bud. I know the goalies sometimes get claimed on waivers and it sucks, but get your third goalie.
Yeah, they got fucked by that because
Yeah.
their third goalie got claimed by a team without a third goalie. So
Yeah, and then I waived him. I claimed it, and then I waived him to get him to my minors, and he got claimed for me.
yeah, by the fucking abs because the Bowmans aren't good enough.
Um, so I mean, like the Jets. I'm not sure if they have. I'm not sure what their direction is currently. They're not necessarily. It's not really rebuilding, are they? Unless I missed something in chat.
Oh, I don't think they've. Let's see if they've answered the poll yet.
No, they haven't.
They have not. So right now, oh, interesting. Oh wait, that's fucking furry. Why is furry reacting? Oh wait, this is the old poll. I'm so stupid.
No, you're not. So
uh, Yeah,
he
so
posted in trade blocks?
no, not really. They're not in the craziest spot really. The Jets, they're a little bit in that no identity place too, where
Right.
except with worse prospects and a better now, I think, because Marushev is like I love I love their centers honestly, just in general. I think this is a pretty decent center core, but it's old also, and I mean they have Mitchkov and Castle, but
Well, Mitchkov's stock has really gone down, eh? At least in public view, I feel.
yeah, it he's been kind of pedestrian since leaving Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
Probably needs the right combo of players. He's still like amazing. He's not like he looks really good recently. Was he like?
yeah,
But I don't think his combo with the lines are set up in a way where he is maximized or whatever.
yeah, he excelled in such strange positions for me that I thought he was one of those guys who will basically excel whenever. No, I think like most, he does need at the very least a competent combination. It
yeah.
can't just be
Actually, I don't mind his
scrubs.
lineups right now. It's Torres, Perfetti, Mitchkov on that line. Perfetti's
Yeah,
probably
that's
underperforming a bit, but I don't know what's causing his AVR to be so low.
uh, wow.
Right?
I
Yeah, I
don't
mean
know.
he has that line going. Like whatever, maybe he changed that and now it's working. Because like before that, it
Right.
looks like they're kind of off or something.
Yeah, I the thing with this we talk about Morant fits.
That's very true. Very, very true.
Because he's the big fish, right? At the deadline, this is a fit. If they want to push, I feel like that's kind of the type. Doesn't Morant Mitchkov sound like the sexiest shit you've ever heard? Like, doesn't that, oof.
Try to guess how many picks they have this year.
uh
1 through 7 picks.
all total 6.
13. They have 2 firsts, 3 seconds, 4 thirds, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. And then
The fuck?
they have all of their picks, my second, the Star second, and the Flames third next season. They have a lot of extra picks here. They have
Wait,
so much draft capital that they could use to leverage themselves into any position they really want it to be.
I
Honestly,
think that's interesting. Yeah, that means they could either be like, yeah, we push for Morant, and like, because I think a top center, this team could use like a high end defenseman too. I
that's
think
true.
they don't have
Yeah.
too many.
All their
Um,
prospects are two ways or defensive. Like
I
the
don't
top
love their
center.
prospect pool. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it's great.
it's kind
No.
of not good.
But realistically, you could totally add or just say fuck it and sell,
Just
right?
use all the picks, right?
Like, because you have all these picks already. Fuck, sell a few more, right? Like, what's it gonna do? Make
What's
you
the difference,
13th in the
right?
West? Tough. Like, Perfetti's expiring, notably. And sure he's paid to fuck, but like, some team can get something out of him, right? Like,
Yeah, I'd go all in or blow it up. I wouldn't.
that's
I don't
Two
know.
that's how I
choices.
view it. That's how I view it. You either go hard as fuck or you sell hard as fuck. I think standing pat is the worst possible move for the Jets. I think you gotta pick a lane right now.
Okay. You don't want to get stranded on an island. Speaking of the New York Islanders,
That's a team that's doing well. Is it better than I thought? I don't know.
they're,
Let's hear it.
they're doing better than I thought they were on at the beginning of the season, but they are an 85 point expected finish, 19th in offense, 17th in defense, 15th and net minding with an 899. That is
Go
super
Gagan.
mid, super mid, right? Gagan is
I
at an 8905, but that's lower than it was like 3 sims ago, where he was like a 912 or something like that, right?
yeah. The thing is, this is kind of a weird position in my eyes, where they just traded for Winger Hughes and Eklund, which I like Eklund as an acquisition to shelter Charbonneau, really. Just like get centers to make him not have to play center. Um, and I like Hughes in theory, but I think all that does is make you mid. Like, is the thing. I think this team is pretty thoroughly mid right now, and they've moved picks. Their first is, let's see, if Hughes extension. Okay, so they got rid of Struthers. Yeah, they moved like assets for Hughes and Eklund, like legit assets. They have some ad contracts. I hate the Gagan deal, and I Quosmanen is getting 9 million for 5 years, and I don't know why.
I'm not necessarily certain I agree with the decision of sending a first for Hughes and Eklund, because when you're sending a first, I understand it's not this season, but next season, do we expect the Islanders to be substantially better next season than this one?
I mean, ideally, Charbonneau develops, Provost steps into the NHL, McNair maybe can be something. He's high PA. Grundon, like they got guys that like theoretically should step up. Charbonneau's been,
Oh,
uh,
I just read the condition on the trade. Anyways, it's not as
yeah,
bad as I thought.
it's
Right,
not, it's a pretty friendly condition where
right,
it's like same as we were talking about with the Devils. If you don't win a series, then fine.
whatever.
Which they
Yeah.
probably realistically, this was probably Struthers, Blaine, Martinez
Also, it
second.
makes me laugh that Frank Ponchapinski is the top-ranked defenseman via the preseason rankings in the league, and he's
He's
straight waiver
terrible.
trash. Straight waiver trash,
He's
right?
garbage. Yeah, he has like I don't even know what it is with him. Like he looks like he should be better than he is, right? Like
Yeah, I, I
what?
I've never
Why
understood
is
what
he
I
this
had it
bad?
either. Like he was still one of the big pieces I got in the Yahoo deal because I thought, oh, he'll be pretty solid because he had like huge comps. He was like second overall pick, I think.
Yeah, and then he was waived like twice, three
Wave twice.
times.
Yeah, no.
I
Yeah,
mean, they
th-
got Bryant in the offseason. They traded down to get Bryant, and Bryant kind of sucks.
that whole trade is pretty puzzling for me.
The
I,
Hughes Eklund one.
yeah,
It is for me on both sides because
exactly.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
Gus caught himself in a corner when he
a
traded for
cap
Wallstat. He
situation.
had to
Yeah,
dump $10 million, which is why I'm like,
Yeah.
the Islanders probably shouldn't have paid much of anything at all because
he was
what
in
does
cap hell.
what does Gus do if he doesn't make that trade? He waives
I
somebody. He
told
got
him
one.
to waive that
Yeah,
defenseman, and I think
Yeah,
he should have, but whatever.
it's a dilemma, really. Yeah, I don't adore this team. Charbonneau's like one of my favorite young guys in the league. He's scoring a fuck ton on a complete shooting percentage bender, and he wins 40% of his faceoffs, so his ABR is complete trash. But
I mean, yeah,
he's good. Like
sure. Yeah, I don't like. I don't see those players have been. I don't think these players have been utilized correctly yet. I think Eklund at this point is only going to sim well as a winger. He just doesn't sim well as a center, and I think people are wasting their time putting him there. I think they can get way better production out of him on the wing. And Hughes, he's doesn't look like he's completely going yet. I think he can play. I think he can get like much better. Uh, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's not. I think he can go over a point per game, but it looks like he's only done that a couple times.
honestly.
I
Oh, sorry, go for it.
I don't know if they have the guys to make Hughes go over point per game, like on this roster at all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like I just that's why I don't really understand
They
it
don't
because
have
it looks
any
like
centers. None.
Yeah,
yeah.
They have Eklund as their first line center. Winger Kasumainen is playing second line center with Hughes and Charbonneau. Charbonneau's playing
nine
wing.
$9 million man, Quosmanen.
Amanetto is 3C, and I suppose he's fine as a 3 or a 4C. But if you're going to trade a first and a decent amount of assets, I don't understand why you went and got yourself an additional winger rather than trying to get yourself a 2C, I guess, to maybe, you know?
Yeah, I Angus talks up the what's his face Eklund pretty high. He was like, yeah, he's like a good center. He can play 1C. I disagree completely. I think Eklund is like kind of shitty.
2, 3C. Yeah, 2, 3C at most.
I barely, yeah, no, I'm with Jordan even. I barely even view him as a C. Like, I
I'd
don't
put him
like
on the wing.
Eklund.
Yeah, no, I'd put him on the wing and like in a dire strait. Oh, I need a center for this game. Do it for that. But that's the only time.
4C is kind of how I view
Right.
him. Like a Niederbach, where he's like a 4C. Like and he's your best center. So this team has that hole, and I I don't know. Like the price wasn't huge. Obviously, it was Struthers in like a second and a third, fine. But I just think the best move for the Islanders was probably to stand pat, just sit there. Like let it be, let it ride. Uh, I think you could have. The main focus of this year, in my eyes, for the Islanders is developing these young guys, developing like Edling and Charbonneau. I think that's the main focus.
Jorgen Edling. I know that's the name I recognize for some reason.
Maybe he was in a big move.
He was a Montreal Canadian draft pick. That's why.
Classic.
Silverberg regen, if I remember correctly now.
Part of the return for Cyril Seiler at the deadline. Remember when they had Cyril Seiler?
I traded Edling for Johnny Bordelot.
Of course. Yeah, no, like I think the main focus of this year, if you're the Islanders, is just young guy development. Um, I think they have assets to flip. Rantanen's 40, but he still puts up like good numbers. He's still a pretty effective winger. Um, Lots of these guys. Fletcher, he's signed pretty long term. I think they have him with Charbonneau, which I think is a good fit. So maybe don't trade him because you want to. Charbonneau in a position to succeed is the key to this season. He's your future. Right there is Charbonneau.
Actually, I don't think the Hughes deal is valid.
Is it not?
The condition, what's the condition on the pick? Is it a 2038 second, right? He doesn't have his 2038 second.
No, we need trade police.
I mean, that's an easy fix where you just change it to 2039.
Just change the number.
Right, but no, that's hey, fix it. I get you, but I trust you two. You two are friends to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. After that.
Anything else to say on the Islanders at all? Nothing.
No, pretty mid, but I guess they have some prospects coming up, and Charbonneau is going to be sick at some point. Alrighty, a very perplexing team of my part, I suppose, the Detroit Red Wings. Currently, they are expected to be as soon as I can find Detroit, because they don't have it alphabetized for some reason. Currently, they're expected to be an 82-point team, which is not good to say the least. 25th in offense, 11th in defense, and 17th in net. Has Dubois just not played a lot? No, he's played 20.
Dubois been hurt. 23 games is theoretically a lot, but they've had to play their idiot backup, who is not that good.
What's his idiot? Noisnainen, 898.
Stand up. No, Dubois has been a 920. Dubois has been killing it.
Dubois has been Dubois. Awesome.
Yep, but the rest of the team is kind of iffy.
I mean, even on the best of times, it was the Dubois show. So at the worst of times, ouch, right?
Yeah, we talked about in the offseason how this was one of the worst off seasons just because they had lots of guys leave and they couldn't get anyone to replace them. And they don't really have too many assets to move. Like they don't have their first this year. That's San Jose's, I believe, or conditionally the Jets, I think.
It's San Jose's. It was the pick I traded for Ottinger.
Hey, oh man, that accidentally ended up being really high value, huh?
Whatever.
Yeah, this team has good players, obviously. How is Shai Boyum putting up these fucking numbers? What?
I don't get him.
Okay.
Austin Matthews is still sick somehow.
Matthews is great, but like if you look at this team, there's a lot of guys performing at like 7.2 or like 7.1. There's not many guys performing super well on this roster right now. Matthews is really the main. Matthews, Van Horn, and fucking Boyum are the main guys really doing well. And Tall's not bad either.
Cooper Foster, the one that
No, that
Logan,
was the other Foster.
The other Foster.
Brendan Foster.
Brendan Foster. Okay.
This one's just bad. Don't worry about him.
Okay.
Yeah, I it's a bit of an unfortunate position because I wish they won the cup that year. It was so fucking cool.
would've been
I was
so
so
fun.
rooting for him. I was so rooting for him, but they now have a thin prospect pool with no picks this year. Realistically, I think if you're Detroit, you try to push this year, uh, or maybe you don't even. Maybe you just sell because Matthews is worth assets.
Matthews
He's
is
expiring in
definitely worth
ancient.
some efforts, but I mean they're 4 points out. But if they win their games at hand, they are in a playoff spot.
Yeah, so
They might make
maybe
it.
yeah, they can sneak in. Like
Right.
I don't hate this. Honestly, I look at it. A lot of these guys are like underperforming. Like why is
And Antel's
Max
been in,
Kvist
or hasn't been hurt for long, but he's been hurt.
it's hurt now? Yeah. Why is Kvist playing as like Pastry? This is his worst season. I swear to God. Like what is this?
Dubois hasn't played a game since the 29th of November.
I think he might have just got back from
Okay.
injury because he was hurt.
I knew he was hurt, but I wasn't sure how long he was hurt for.
12 days in late November, so probably was
Okay.
on IR long term, and now he's back. So I don't know. Like I feel like this team probably I had them in a playoff spot at the start of the year, a wild card.
I still think
I
they get there.
I agree with that. But I think this year this team is kind of thoroughly mid. It's a shame they don't have their pick this year because if you do, just sell. Um, but now it's a bit of a harder decision because you have Matthews, obviously, who's worth assets. You have Van Horn, who's also expiring and is also worth assets. Like I would pay for fucking Van Horn right now. Like, wouldn't that be funny? Um, yeah, it's an interesting position to be in where I think the big weakness on this team, honestly, is kind of their defense. I think it kind of sucks.
No, that makes sense. I mean, their offense hasn't been generating shots either. You know, they're 25th
Yeah,
in shot generation.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
they're missing something.
I like Bernard Docker left in the offseason and they simply their replacement is Shine William, who's playing really well, but he's not Seth Bernard Docker. Like that's just not who he is.
I
And
think
it will
Matthews
never
is
be.
having a pretty down season when it comes to shot generation because he's only at 69 shots in 33 games. I don't
That is
feel
oh,
that doesn't sound right because that's like fourth on his team or fifth on his team.
let's see. I know they lost Sergachev, McMichael, Samoskevich, Bernard Docker, Rico Peter, Michael Potvin, Liliamo, Suzuki. Like they lost a ton of guys last offseason. Uh, and just could not get replacements is kind of the issue that they've
Well, I
found
think
here.
if they can juggle the lineup a little bit, like trying to downgrade an asset to get a better guy that is going to help. I don't know. They have to do something to like make their team work better chemistry wise or something. They don't have the right roles, kind of like some of the other teams ahead of them.
I think it's a bit of that, and I think it's a bit of their defense just sucks balls. Like I really think this is a terrible decor, especially for a team with like playoff hopes. This is a really weak decor. Like you could use a guy. I don't know who. I don't have maybe one of those. How close to the cap are they? Let me just check that. Not. They're not close to the cap, so they could totally see if they can pick up one of these like $10 million like okay defensemen to play, and I think that will like drastically improve their team. Honestly,
They have two rugged defensemen
yeah, like
and a point man. Like, no, that's not gonna work. Sorry,
They've
change that.
killed their like middle round picks. It looks like they have 4, 5, 6 this year, and they have 1, 4 through 7 next year. So they don't have their second or thirds either this or next season. So that's like the type of pick
and
you use to get those complementary players.
you really don't want to be paying your first next year
And
at
you're
all.
not
Like
paying your first at all. No.
maybe you see if somebody really likes one of your prospects that you don't value quite as much. Like maybe somebody really likes Telegan, and you can snag like a good defenseman off them. Like not even a star, just like a solid asset, really. Because I think that's kind of what you need on this roster to make it better. That and like lineup blends, I think.
Can you turn your rugged defenseman into playmaking offensive defense or offensive defenseman?
Yeah, like just
Just do
please.
that twice, and then you're probably in a much better spot.
Yeah, realize two
This
ruggeds.
Matheson kid could probably be playing NHL time right now. He's in an 8.17 in Grand Rapids as a
Ooh,
center.
oh my god.
Like his ant cree's a little low, but he's an all-around guy, so it doesn't
Oh
matter
my.
as much.
Yeah, they should try this guy in the NHL. He would probably be able to play 3C like right now.
Currently, you're right.
He looks good. Holy fuck. Yeah, I think this is. Yeah, call up some guys. Maybe Gibbons could play in the NHL too. I'm thinking like Gibbons is pretty okay.
I
He's
thought so. Yeah.
23. Like there's a few like you could just try some shit. You know, like I feel like you gotta try some shit, and you definitely gotta pick up a defenseman if you're trying to make the playoffs. Or you could just
Yeah.
sell Matthews and cry about not having your first this year and blow it up. Really,
Blow it up.
Matheson is so good; he should be in the NHL right now.
yeah, 100%. I'm shocked.
All right. Up next is Philly.
They're that good.
Yeah.
My God.
33 points so far in the season. Um, Currently 21st in the league. I have the Philadelphia Flyers um, as a projected 65-point team, vastly overperforming what they're expected to be currently. 21st in offense, 29th in defense, 23rd in goaltending with an 892. Um, their goalies, I mean, neither of their goalies have been particularly good, I don't think.
No,
Hutsko
they're
is
both.
probably, I think Hutsko's the one that ranks highest on my model, and he's only played 5 games. So
Yeah.
Knight's 39th behind Poikinen, above Dirks of Dallas, if you know who that
Yep.
Dirks is of Dallas.
Yep.
It's nothing special in the net for the Flyers.
Sorokin's is an asset in the future, and his morale is still fine. So maybe it is fine to just keep him in the NHL right now. I honestly probably would have just given him some more AHL time. But yeah, Sorokin's is like a good future asset. They have Kovarchik in the NHL right now, who's playing quite well, especially for a rookie center. He's really performing. Oh, they've played him a wing quite a bit, to be fair. But like, this is a good player, Kovarchik, and who else? Lauritsen is the guy I think who's been really excelling for them. I don't know, he's been fine. They have 3 rookies with like good PA in the NHL right now, but they're all kind of playing pedestrian. Like none of them are great, really.
Honestly, I don't hate how they have their line set up. They're getting a lot out of not a lot here, if that makes sense. Like Tim
Yeah,
Johansson, I don't think any of us would ever look at Tim Johansson to be, an elite winger. Like he has great shot, he has great offensive abilities. The speed's not ideal, but he's one of those like shoot for turret goal scoring wingers, and they were able to put him with wingers that are playmaking wingers. And you think that'd be obvious, but there's a lot of teams that don't do that. Like
yeah.
Cyril Fontaine might not be the best center, but Cyril Fontaine and Tim Johansson isn't a bad combo for a playmaking winger center combo.
I agree with them getting a lot with a little right now. Like this is a not great roster. They obviously have picks. They can obviously sell. I think they have quite a few assets that if they want to sell, yeah, Kahanpa. Oh wait, Kahanpa's paid 8.5. This is a
He's
Florida
wanting to
guy.
buy though. Actually, he's looking for a top
Interesting.
four left defenseman. So probably something to
Interesting.
go underneath Richard.
That's very interesting. I wouldn't want to pay a first in any dimension if you're the Flyers. But if you can get a guy who is like a long-term asset for like a second, yeah, I would do it. Like, fuck it, Just oh, they don't have their second or third this year. They have their second, third next year. They have their first, and I don't think they should move their
Don't
first
move
by
him
any
first.
means.
No, don't do it, buddy.
I
Or if
I
you
think
do,
you
at
just kind
least like
of
have some heavy lottery protection on it.
yeah, yeah, for real. Because this team is kind of thoroughly right now. It's nothing special, at all. There's a lot of old players. They could sell real easily. I'm surprised, honestly, that they're not selling.
They are also third in shooting percentage in the league currently, so that's a likely set to regress down somewhere.
Yeah. You'd assume so. Their goaltending has been quite bad. I really think they should try Hutsko some more. Sequoia Jones, you obviously know Sequoia Jones is like the fraudest fraud to ever fraud, but
Hutsko has Lokon.
I'd still try him over like Sorokin. I'd rather give him the time than Sorokin's. I think Sorokin's should probably spend another season in the AHL. What do you guys think about that?
I understand keeping Sorokin's down on the A, but like if you do that, I throw Sequoia Jones to the wolves at that point.
I keep him up.
Interesting.
If he's not Lokon, I keep him up. As long as he stays above okay, or okay up and above, and like if he's playing well enough, I'd keep him up.
He's playing like
893 currently.
Like if that's good enough for him, if he doesn't really care about making, you know what I mean? Like it depends on the situation, what he wants, right? Then maybe just keep him up because if to give him time is always better if he's high con, like or if he's even mid con and he looks like that, I'd keep him up.
Okay. I think you're better at prospect development than me, so I trust that.
Well, also, I would read what the coach is saying, right? If the coach is saying like, "Oh, this guy needs be careful about doing whatever," or I don't know, you can read it, and it'll say like, "Be careful about this. You nurture this guy," or something like that. So I send him down sometimes like that when he says that.
Coach report. Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, who do they have expiring this year? They have a lot of
Not
players expiring this year, but not
Yeah.
significant.
Yeah, they could get like seconds for some guys, really.
They'll have a lot of cap space to play with this summer, though.
Hell yeah.
Which
Oh,
you can see
like
they like to do. So
yeah. Oh my god, the Carson Christie contract. I don't think it's the worst in the league because I think Quosman is worse on the Islanders. I think that contract is terrible.
okay, let's power through these last 9 of them. Alrighty.
Yeah, the sellers.
The sellers are quick, right? All right,
Yes.
Boston. Boston is basically run by Callie Klang currently. They
Why? When?
It's just Callie Klang is now just the guy. It's the Tim Thomas Boston Bruins effect, I suppose. 17th in offense, 12th in defense, 27th in net. But Callie Klang has not played a good portion of the season, and when he has played, he's been a 919. My concern with Klang is that he's expiring and he's 34. So if you're selling like Boston, probably should, but won't because I know the GM hates rebuilding. Klang would be a perfect for a team that could use a hand in net.
Shit, we talked about the Rangers. That would be a fit theoretically,
Perfect,
but probably
right
not.
there. But especially since you have Kubalik 21, looking pretty solid as an NHL goalie, I guess. Yeah, 881 save percentage, but like
Looking
his
like an
are
NHL.
there.
He's low con.
Oh, he's low con. Ah, shit. Well,
Yeah, so is McIntyre. Don't worry. This is a strange team to me. Look at how few guys they have in the AHL. Like, why? Sign some AHLers.
Pasternak is 8 goals away from breaking Gretzky's record.
Fuck yes. I want that to happen. It'd be
What
funny.
the?
Hey, Grum.
Who the fuck are we talking about?
Boston
Bruins.
right now.
Oh shit, yeah, fuck those guys.
Hell yeah. They have no AHL contracts. They have 3 AHL forwards. One of them is Xavier Whitmore, their
They have
first round
12.
pick from the last
They have
draft.
12 AHL forwards on the NHL team.
Hey,
Hey,
David
Brock Vigneault
Pasternak
is cool.
Going to break Gretzky record.
Oh,
It's a hell of an AHLer, I suppose.
Yeah. Vigneault is. I love Vigneault. This is my favorite player. What a defective fucking player.
Grinding winger that's just sick in all of his attributes. He has a high AVR.
He's
He's good,
killer.
yeah.
He's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the best player ever. What's wrong with him? He's a game gen who they just accidentally made like 2020 roll or some shit because he's killer. Like he's completely insane constantly. Yeah, I don't know. I think the lack of AHL forwards kind of hampers development. It's a weird thing to comment on, but like you have Xavier Whitmore there getting passed to by like nobody, and I think that's kind of bad for
The
development.
Providence Bruins are 4-29.
Yeah, like that's so bad for development.
I think these are off to a bad start, right? These team might even make the playoffs, to be honest.
Providence or
No,
Boston?
Boston.
Yeah, Boston maybe.
They
I
look
think they're
good.
too far out. They
Uh,
look okay to me, but like
Dude,
this is
let's go. My bet's won.
They're 5
They-
points out. I don't think the Bruins are making the playoffs.
they've been pretty killer of late too.
7-2-1. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on the up.
if no one gets injured, they're fine, but they definitely need a couple more centers.
They need like any depth at any position. This is the
Yeah.
thinnest
They need
team I've ever
players,
seen in my
right.
life.
Well, you can't be rocking Jesperi Kotkaniemi as your number 1C.
In the year of our Lord 2036, no.
Oh, my mistake. Dylan Cousins.
Oh,
No.
even better.
Right.
What
Like,
is this GM doing, actually?
he refuses to rebuild because I understand some individuals don't like rebuilding, and I completely understand that. I do.
But he's
Gotcha,
literally
but
killing the team.
he-
Like, look at the team. He has.
Yeah. Vildian Gross at a 5.63 is playing every
He's
game.
just he's just too much of a fucking bad bitch to rebuild. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't
Wait, why is Villian Gross playing in the NHL? What?
They have
Fucking-
a decent they have a good top line with their two wingers, and then it is a significant drop off.
This is my sus nominee. What? He's a 5.6 and he's an everyday player. Like for what purpose? Get a center.
There's waiver players better than that every day.
Yes, Tampa's been going hard on those waiver guys.
Good on
I
them.
claim some fucking waiver guys. What? There's no shot this 19-year-old should be in. Like, I think this is like really hurting the development of a team with an already thin prospect pool. Is kind of how I view it. Like, you don't have many prospects, and you're really hurting the development of the prospects you have when you just fucking blitz a guy to the NHL like this, and he just can't. He's not. Look at him, dude. He can't.
He may never ever be even if he does hit everything. He's a 1-star future rating according to my guys.
My guy's given 3, so like
Okay.
maybe his comp is Marceau da Costa for me, who's like
He's bad.
is just kind of bad. Like, I mean, this is a 5th round pick. Like him being bad is like not shocking.
Expected, right?
Like I this team needs like depth at any position is kind of how I view it. And like even if you're not going to the playoffs for your AHLers, man, like it's really gonna hamper. Like if Whitmore was your first, you obviously value him highly. I didn't like Whitmore, but like you obviously like him. Give him anything, like even if you're not gonna rebuild proper, Jesus, have an AHL team.
Right. The Keandre Miller is also a big expiring guy for them.
Yeah, I mean their defense is old but good is kind of how I describe it. This is like a legitimately good defense
I'd agree.
with
Power and Cider and Miller.
ancient players. Yeah. I don't know how long they have left of this, honestly. They gotta like even as an always buyer and all like I don't know how long they have left. I really don't. Like
Yeah, like what happens when they just can't? I guess they can always resign someone, right?
Right.
But it's just like I don't know. They have some goalies coming up, I guess.
they're all low con. I'm not joking. All.
He almost has
They
no
all
assets.
are.
Like, how do you trade for stuff when you have nothing?
Yeah, like this is a thin like Boston is kind of lost at sea in my eyes. Like they direction again. Like I don't.
They're
There's
caught
no
in the
direction
storm,
here.
considering the storms.
I I accidentally segued that shit.
Tampa Bay
Jeez.
Lightning. I heard of that. And I was just like, I was thinking of that along myself. Anyways, Tampa Bay. I recently put a big old thanks on Tampa Bay. I wasn't trying to go at Lucas there, but it was just kind of an anomaly in the data I really wanted to experiment. But before we get into that, they're 18th in offense, 15th in defense, 30th in net, and that 30th in net is by a mile because Anders Petit is at, check this out, 828 save percentage in 15 games.
4.75 goals against.
Jari Kutunen is an 881 in his games, and the savior, I suppose, Joel Karttunen is an 893. If this team had like a 905 goaltending, they're like borderline playoff team.
But
And
now they're
905
here.
is not hard to do, you know.
This team, man. This is such a strange team. I really like their top six. I want to mention that. They called up Marc Andre Lake, which I think is correct. Just give this guy a shot. He's a scorer. He's not much else. Fuck it, right? Scott Roof and Cole Huckins are your top two centers. I actually really
a whole
like.
lot worse than that, yeah.
That's better than my top two centers, dude. Like, I'd be pretty happy with that. Aries is obviously good. Their defense is kind of what I look at, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like their decor. Actually, you know what? No, it's not. It's completely fine mostly.
And Babino was pretty solid, yeah. I like Babino.
Bono's fine. Topolnicki's fine. Like Andy.
Whitaker's good.
I want to mention. Go look at this team's injuries. Do they have physios? I gotta check if they have physios. Yo, I'm gonna DM Lucas right now and tell him to hire physios.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go bother him. Yo, hire some physios in GGHL. Your team will stop dying. Cause like this is fucking him over.
Yeah, it's hurting him a lot.
Like Roof was hurt, Aries I think still is hurt. Cartman's hurt. Oh no, Cartman's. Oh no.
Yeah, Karttunen wasn't good, but like 893 I guess is somewhat respectable. Now they have to choose between the 820 guy and the 840 guy.
Looks like Rufe just came back from being injured.
Yeah, Roof was hurt, Aries was hurt. Like this whole team has been really hurt in December. So
that's like Tegan Gates. Man, that guy's probably gonna be good. Oh, he's already good, of course.
He's killer. He Gates? No, Gates is Sod. Stamkos was Philip Wright on Boston.
Right.
Yeah, right, because that's his name. Yeah, Gates hasn't been as fucking absurd as he was early in the season. He's fallen off a touch. His morale's kind of taking a hit here because the team is struggling with everybody dead.
Fair.
But he's still probably the Calder frontrunner. It's like him, Doherty, Tatarin is the three guys I keep thinking of. They're probably the frontrunners. Maybe Tatarin's front at this point. And I'm not biased. Zero bias.
No bias whatsoever.
No bias. Trust me. Yeah, like he's killer. Gates and like their top six in general. It's just like they're being completely hamstrung by their complete dog shit goaltending.
Completely high in truck. And like, yeah, their bottom six centers could use some help because like currently
it's waiver claims.
Yeah, exactly. They also have Cameron playing third line center, who's a all around winger.
Oh, because Stratton, a waiver claim, got hurt because they have no physios.
And they also have Maroka, who is a right wing playmaking.
Nice. Great.
Playing 4C, right?
They're just trying shit, right? Like if you're Tampa, realistically, you just do this shit and you try to sell. Like, I don't. The thing is, do you even have that many assets to sell as Tampa? Not really, unless you want to
really want to do damage, right?
Unless you want to fucking die. Like if you're selling Roof or Huckins, your team is now going to be complete trash, like forever.
Right.
Which I don't even know if I would. Like Roof, I wouldn't. Maybe Huckins I would because he's older, but Roof I think should still be good by the time this team is good.
And as they wrote, like, get a goaltender that's competent, a couple pieces here or there, and I don't see this being team too far off. It's just that their goaltending has sunk them so far down this season Let's see. I can find out
Yes.
how many wins it's cost them so far.
Yeah, they have a pretty good team. it
It's
looks
not
like.
bad. Yeah, it's really not bad. It's just a little thin, which like that's normal.
It's cost them currently about 10 wins on the season so far. So
Dude,
10
they
wins
they
with 10 wins, that puts them into 48th, and that's with 48 points, and that's a third in the Eastern Conference.
yeah, just extremely comfortable. Like
You know,
So they
like
need a 9-10 goalie. Like they need
a
a
9-10
medium.
goalie, and they're a fine team, right?
if you want to add, you can. If you want to sell, you can. That's kind of where Tampa is, because like I think they might just have too little. Like they might just be too far down. They have a
They're
lot of
9 points out. They're
seconds.
too done. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of seconds. I just don't think there's too many assets to sell, because a lot of their guys are like long-term guys that you can just hold on to these guys. Whitaker has had a bit of a resurgence this year. Rotondi is pretty good. Flash is pretty good. Topolnicki expires this year. He's pretty good. They can sell like this decor that's just a lot better than I thought it was. They could sell a lot of these guys.
This guy has a lot of prospects too. Like, I don't know. Like I know that Books is not super good, but he's still sixth on his list, right? So
Yeah, he's like Rasmus Anderson, I think is
yeah,
who he.
well, I don't know who he is, but
I have Books as 12 on my.
oh
Interesting.
okay.
He's 6 for me. Messarix is 12 for me. But worth noting, Messarix is a 7.5, 42 points in the AHL. So he's like killing it.
I had Mezark as 8, but yeah. So that means they're at least similar in PA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a good list, so maybe he's just going down and grabbing another good player, which is a really smart thing to do. If he's
Sure.
like in the spot he's in, a lot of his core is like 28, 30. A lot of his wingers are under 30, so I don't know. It's really
yeah,
not bad to go down and get a good
yeah.
player.
I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. This Montpetit is having literally the worst goalie season fucking ever. It's just really funny. What a
He needs a
legend.
goalie. He needs to
So
get a
bad.
fucking goalie. He needs to. He's probably doing it for a goalie. Like he's not straight up just grabbing goalie.
He's probably drafting that one Finnish guy, Capo Koivunen, in the draft. I think that's the guy you should be looking at.
Yeah, there's one good guy I saw for sure.
All right. Up
I
next is the Quackers.
hey,
The
you can't
Ducks.
say that.
The Quackers? The Ducks?
You guys can talk about.
Alrighty. So I have the Ducks expected to finish the season at 60 points, 28th in offense, 26th in defense, 25th in goaltending with a 890. But I also don't think that was anything else. I think anything else was expected out of them, right?
Not really. Yeah, it's. I mean, they just made the move for Hubbard, right? Yeah, Hubbard, and
Yeah.
it was somebody else too, right?
Lusso.
Yeah.
He was throwing though. I didn't really care.
He's just here. Looking at it.
First game was a good game for Hubbard. We'll talk about the other two.
5 saves. Yeah, he's young as fuck. I mean, trading
Yeah.
first for him is basically trading a high pick for a high pick because Hubbard was a high pick.
He was taken 2 picks after Locke Haley. Or no, wait, he was taken 2 picks before Locke Haley. He was ISS. Hubbard was ISS 44, I think, in the 33 draft, and Haley was ISS 35. So they're both taken ahead, but Grum was 2 picks ahead of me. I think at like 15. I was at 17 or something like that.
Interesting. So you got your guy eventually.
Well, I didn't. I knew I had him on my list, but I don't know if I had. I probably would have taken him over Haley because Haley had low cons. So yeah, he was my next pick. I don't really recall actually, but I know I had him written down. So
Interesting. This team is really young. Like, really young.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're just trying to
Right.
see which young guys can actually hang. How's Miller Brown been? Let's see.
not great.
Not great, not great. Um,
Which
Let's-
one
I
of
mean-
your goalies are you expecting something out of in the future? Because I don't have.
Oh,
anyone
Vay
scouted.
Ryan is gonna be quite good.
Okay.
Yep, Aaron looks good to me. So this is the guy in my eyes. He's a legitimately good prospect. This is an interesting team because it's kind of just wait and see, right? You don't even have that many assets to like sell, really. It's like Holtz, maybe.
Yeah, Holtz, Potter, Danarell has been one of the better lines in the NHL this season, or
Yeah,
in the GGHL.
it's been legit really good. But like in terms of assets that you would sell at the deadline, like who, right?
I don't know if there is. I think someone might want Ramsey, but I don't think I will trade him.
Yeah,
He's like for a guy with ETH and Dick, which is just like a no offense line. But like considering it's my first line and most of them are in the pluses and some of them have some points, like I'm fine with them just eating up ice time.
yeah. And then the second line is the Potter
Offense,
General
right.
Yeah.
Holtz one. Yeah, like that's the thing. I'm looking at this team. This roster is so young that like, who are you selling? You made the Hubbard move. You got rid of a couple guys. Maybe if Lusolt does anything, you flip him to somebody else. But like, this looks like the king of won't do anything at the deadline to me.
Yeah, not likely. I will potentially try to sell Grushnikov, Nielsen, Duquette, uh, and I have way too many two-way defensemen that are high PA, so I have to figure that situation out at some point. I might try to sell one of my lower goalies because I think King might be an NHL player. Kuzma is an NHL player for sure, but he has some red flags, So
I won't blow your spot.
yeah,
No, yeah, like that's the thing. In terms of a deadline preview, this is the worst team to deadline preview. It's just young as fuck. You ain't moving anything. You're just seeing how
What?
these young guys do.
I already made all my moves. Like I traded for 3 centers,
Yeah,
2 of which are quite good, and the other is kind of a stand-in slash like maybe he can play on the wing. Maybe he fits a spot on the wing in the future, but for now he's a center
yeah,
for me.
yeah. It's an interesting position to be in.
Okay. The Carolina Hurricanes are next.
The Carolina failed science experiment.
Hey, give Alex the props for the cojones to do it. I suppose.
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't have ever because like I want to win, but currently they're expected to be a 62 point team, 24th in offense, 23 in defense, 22 in net. St. Pierre's been okay.
He's picked it up. He was terrible at the start of the year, but he's been completely fine for them.
I don't really know how to best evaluate the Hurricanes in most times because they have
They're
everything
always.
shifting around.
We've talked about it 100 times. Morant is like the big fish at this deadline.
Yeah.
I think the price on him is too high. If it lowers, I think a lot of teams will be in on him.
And yeah, no, that and like the price he said isn't necessarily the price he actually wants. It's kind of like the entry to negotiation for him, and no, a lot of people see that and just run off. But I understand why he wants to hold on to this asset or like really get something big for the asset because it's Durant is sick. No
Oh,
one would
absolutely.
ever deny that. It's just that he's extremely ambitious. I don't understand why you would want to move him unless you are confident that you can't re-sign him, right?
Yeah. Like that's the thing. He is a rental, it looks like.
Right.
But I think he's one of those rentals who can just take a team to a cup. So I think a lot of teams should be in anyway if the
Right.
price lowers, obviously, because more than one first for him is sketchy. Like I'd trade like all my picks in one draft, like this draft, if I was like, I'm gonna win this cup. Here's my entire draft.
I mean, you could resign him as long as he doesn't say like he's not willing to listen to offers, you can pretty much resign. You just have to offer him a
Just a
ton of money.
fucking ton. I've considered it. I've considered Morant. I'm sure like 300 teams have considered Morant, right? Like
I offered him
he's
the Sabres pick, the Pen, and the Hawks pick, and I got told no.
interesting.
Yeah.
So more
That
than
is
two firsts.
yeah,
First
two
and a Pen,
firsts,
and which I was the center because he said he needed a center.
I
and
mean, he's
then
worth two firsts. Yeah.
one of those firsts is like really good. I can't believe you said no to that.
He said no to it, and then I realized, oh, he's extremely ambitious. I don't even really. I didn't. I'm not gonna offer that. Nope. Never mind.
Yeah.
I pulled it after he told me no, but he told me
Yeah.
no first.
Interesting. Rico Peter on this team having a career best year because is
Of
he
course,
even
that's
actually?
exactly.
No, he still kind of sucks. He's playing a lot of wing and he still kind of sucks. This guy is the most defective player on this fucking DB. Fucking Rico Peter.
I don't know. I think this guy hasn't even reached his like potential, Morant. I think on a better.
Morant?
Yeah, I think he
29
can get.
though, right?
No, I just mean in terms of scoring.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I think he can get to like over or like 100 or over, or not like. What I mean is like, uh, point per game or over it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that for
I
sure.
view him as that too. Like he has the potential to be a point a game guy. If he wasn't expiring, I'd be in on him because Morant Schneider sounds literally perfect to me. But yeah, no, this is like a fucking solid player that like obviously they're selling him. I think they posted a bunch of the defensemen in the block because the experiment is over. It's been canceled. Yeah, Darlene, Hughes, Fox, Ufko, Tilder.
He
Yeah,
also needs to have a full lineup because currently there is a bunch of gray names on his lineup, so that needs to fix itself.
it'll probably get fixed.
Right.
He'll just call
Call up
defenseman.
some players, right? He
How's
has a lot
Kinsley
of
Ash?
players expiring currently. He has no one of significant except for the ones that we've already talked about, but there is like half his roster is expiring as a UFA this year.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not the worst position to be in, really. You could just blow it up again and just see how it
I'm curious.
goes.
I'm
I have
curious what his next strat is this time.
Yeah, I mean he has 4 firsts this year. It's it's pretty flexible.
I'd be curious what he could be able to do if one year or a couple seasons he decided to actually try and put teams together based on actual talent rather than shits and giggles.
And
You know, but hey, to each his own.
for sure. I don't. Yeah, they're just sellers. They're complete sellers.
Complete sellers this year. Yep. Alrighty. Nashville, Colton's team.
I think he's also a seller, but what are their
I think
stats?
26 offense, 24th defense, 24th in net. Expected 59 point team. Goyer hasn't. Goyer? I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't take French.
I don't know who cares.
Leo Gur, the goalie. Hasn't been good. Casa has strangely had a exceptional 3 games, even though it's just 3 games. I'm not entirely impressed by anything on this roster, honestly. The Allard trade, I understood it. I don't think it's a bad trade either. You understand you can't necessarily tell somebody no that you can't build to your team. I probably wouldn't have done it, and I drafted Allard in the top 10. This season hasn't been the greatest for him either.
Did he trade for his first for Allard and then he just
No. It was Florida's first last draft, so like
Right.
25th, which like I probably would have done it for 25th. Is the thing.
I think it's a good trade. Like Allard is gonna be good.
His stick handling was kind of the big asterisk, and it's already grown. Like he's 26, so
He's 26, so he's probably done at this point. Maybe a couple
no,
things here or there, but
I think he has the potential to be one of those like Siler types
Siler
that
type.
develops like
Yeah, but if
28.
you're counting on him to be a Siler type, that's a tough
To be
ask.
all green.
It's
You
true.
know,
Could be
Uh,
all green. Green wall.
could I think this is a weird roster, like just very strange. Um, the big shining light on this team, realistically, is LeBlanc Mallory, who is probably also in the Calder conversation. He's like nearly a point a game.
Oh
It's
wow.
he's killing it. Yeah,
He doesn't look
kind
like
of
he should
underratedly.
either, right? 20 at 20. Yeah, I don't think he should be. Honestly, just looking at his stats. But hey, let the bud kill it.
Yeah, hell yeah, go LeBlanc Mallory. Picked like 15th overall 2 drafts ago.
His
But
highest tech is a
realistically,
14.
I talked about it in the season preview. Nashville had two real routes. They could try to fix this or they could just blow it up. And I think they're going with blow it up.
Well,
Because I think they said literally everyone on the trade block or something like that. I've inquired about a few guys with them because they have interesting pieces to me. Lots of interesting pieces. I think they said everyone but Allard is on the market, which is fair. Like
fair.
everybody above the age of like 28, like Del Gaizo, Courtois, these are legitimately good assets. Salkeld, I think, can be something. Maybe.
Cortisone. He's the
Yeah,
one
Weiberg
I.
Fridge.
is really good too.
Cortisone's the one that got kicked out of a game in one random GGHL game for telling a ref that he needs to get his glasses checked.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Weiberg looks really good to me. Like this is he's having a down season, but like so is half of Nashville. If we're being real, this team is full of guys just having the worst season of their career. So
I'm gonna be in on Pilat actually probably this season. Not
I'm
gonna
in
lie.
on Weiberg if he's selling Weiberg. Like I that's the guy I want. I need a 4C, like
Oh
or a bottom 6C. This is looks good for that.
yeah.
Yeah, like they're blowing it up. It's
They
it's
should
it's
be.
not special.
Yeah, no. They tried something, it didn't work. Well, back to the drawing board. Bring it back up.
Yeah,
They
they
don't have
build around
a
Allard.
goalie prospect, so that's gonna be their next big
Get
thing they
you
need
know.
to get right.
Yeah, they build around like Allard, Canal, Mallory. That's who they build around.
Right.
And we see how it goes.
It is Joshua Weiberg? Okay. Why does the
Yeah,
name Josh
there's
Weiberg
two.
sound okay?
There's two Weibergs. One of them is Tage.
Tage. Okay.
I
After
think
we good
some.
with the Preds, or you guys have any closing thoughts on the Preds?
Good luck, Colton. Give me Weiberg for like a third. I don't know.
Okay. After the Predators is the Senators, Tony Antonio's team. Um, Currently, I have them projected to finish second last with 42 points.
Yep.
29th in offense, 27th in defense, 29th in net. I don't think you can get much worse.
Can I? McNamara's played 34 games. He has played like every single game.
And he's having a career high with an 890.
Wow, what a superstar!
He was my third goalie that I was trying to just stay in the AHL, and that was like a claim for me.
I mean, this team looks horrible, right? Like they have assets to sell,
It's Ruby's
but
fault.
not many. Yeah, it's 100% Ruby's fault. But I the assets I noticed, they signed Merkley, who I think has been helping them quite a bit, Brandstrom, Stutzel, and Aversion. I think that's the real assets on this team to
Oh
sell.
yeah, I still, I mean, I understand Averson's old, but I'd still take Averson on my team. Yeah, his
I would
AVR is
too.
probably super deflated because he takes a lot of penalty minutes.
Mhm.
I also don't think.
I just want to shout him out for having 842 career NHL penalty minutes.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
oh
way
my
to go,
god,
buddy.
what a monster! Dude, he had 136 in 2031. Like, what a psycho!
Hell yeah. Who do they have expiring this year?
Those are the main guys. I
Okay,
think they have more guys than that. But
those are the big ones.
yeah, those are the real notable ones. Are those two good defensemen? Stutzel. Oh, Stutzel's not even expiring. He's
No.
got 2 years. But I think you could get a haul for Stutzel if you want. Like it's really up to you. I think this team is 100% a seller. Obviously, they're selling everybody. They fuck it.
Question: do you guys trade Fordhams if you're the Senators? Because he's 30 now, which isn't ideal, but he's signed till 2039 and has been a productive Senator basically his entire career.
I picked that player.
Oh, did you? Hey.
I don't know. I would trade. I don't know. Like I kind of like his pool a little bit.
I like his prospect too. Honestly, Nick Reed was my guy in that draft. He got picked like 2 spots before me.
Nick Reed.
Yeah, this goalie.
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah.
my
I don't
favorite
know.
as well.
I'd sell. I don't know. I'd sell it a lot, probably.
Yeah, just blow it up. Like this team is. He knows. He came into the season with like a complete
Right.
dumpster. You sign a guy like Merkley for 2 reasons. You hit floor and then you sell him for a second. That's it.
But I wouldn't buy a lot this draft. I don't think. I'm not super high on this draft. I think there are good players. I'm not sure how deep it goes, but I just like.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't like the
pretty low
top
on it
end of
too,
it.
honestly.
But yeah, like I would sell for like 39 or something like that, or 40, and then try to get a center or something.
Yeah, because this team needs a center of the future. Really, there just isn't one at all.
Right.
And some wingers. Like they really need wingers. They need
Forwards,
forwards. Yeah, because like their 2 centers are I think a defensive guy and a grinder or something like that.
Glad this draft is great for defensemen. Kind of bad
Yeah,
timing on that.
he's already got like 2 amazing defensemen. Like,
Yeah.
and then
Antoniuk is one of my favorite prospects in the fucking league. I love this dude.
Chernov. I don't know if he's high cons or not.
I think he's mid. Nick Reed is mid. I know that. He was like very high on my list. I quite like Nick Reed.
I don't see low con on this guy, but so if this guy's mid con, then he's really good. So that's good for.
Yeah, they have good goalie prospects. Like obviously their goalies right now are terrible, right?
Right.
McNamara, De
Partially
La
by design.
Fontaine. Yes, like Ottawa came into this year being like, okay, we will suck. That's fair. Now you sell. Deadline is here. Time to sell.
Enjoy low con carry price is what I sent him when he claimed McNamara.
Legend.
Okay.
Ooh,
The Blues,
next.
Chris's team.
Yes.
The Blues.
He was more optimistic than I at the start of the year. I was right.
23rd in offense, 28th in defense, 26th in net. Expected to be a 55-point team. So third last.
Here, this is another one that there's not too much to say about. Like you have assets to resell. You have like Heiskanen, you have Ekblad, who obviously these guys are overpaid to fuck, but like maybe a team with a lot of cap space can pick him up. Doyle is a guy who's signed long term. I don't know if he's part of the long term plans, but he's obviously a good complementary player. He performed like one with me, so he can obviously play in that role.
Maziarz has an almost 8 AVR.
Holy fucking moly!
It's because he shoots the puck a lot.
91.
Oh yeah, he shoots the puck a lot. That's why I was wanting to sign him, but then I realized he's completely reckless in the playoffs for me this last time.
Yeah.
So that's what's like, I don't feel comfortable doing that because playoffs matter substantially more to me than anything else.
Regular, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. This is another one. There just aren't like too many assets to sell. I think you probably can sell one of Portillo or Hamrack, and just see. Well, although Portillo's been, he's dying. He's terrible.
Ooh, 11 agility. Yeah, he's fallen.
He's completely fallen off. But like, there's assets that you can maybe get things for. Realistically, the fire sale was already done in St. Louis. Like they have picks out the ass in this next draft. Which unfortunately this is not the best draft to have picks out the ass in. I just don't think it's that good. They have 5 firsts.
Well, I think he likes this draft. He was telling me.
Oh, then good for him because he'll pick 5 times. Like they're all playoff first except for his own, but like his own is a lotto pick. He'll probably get one of the really high end defensemen, and then
I think he's gonna find good players. Like,
Chris
yeah, I
find good
trust him to be
players?
a good drafter.
No. Chris?
I trust him to be a good drafter, but like realistically, what are you selling at the deadline? Like Boldy and like Farabee and Ekblad? Those are your guys?
He also leaves for vacation tomorrow, and I
Yeah.
don't think he's back until after the deadline's done. So,
I think he's back at the deadline.
oh, at the
So
deadline, okay.
I think he has time. It even if he wasn't,
I don't
the
think
big
he's
thing,
down on much, right?
you really aren't going to be able to get a good amount of assets for any of these guys. Uh, Scraps really like Boldy. I would trade like a second for Boldy. Why not? Like, like maybe a second, maybe less. That kind of thing. Yeah, God knows.
What
Not a
the?
very interesting deadline
What was
team.
our PLD trade? Was it like a third and a fourth or something? Because that's what I
It
feel like
was
Boldy is a precinct
it was
comparable
a
to.
third.
Okay.
It was like straight up a third. Buffalo third, which was a high third.
Okay. Morelli apparently is Kessel, and hasn't done well.
Morelli is Kessel, and Archer Garrison is Kadri. So what?
Oh, they'll
He's
never play
tried
together then.
what he's tried to do is take these guys who really haven't developed right and like force it.
Okay.
And I respect it. And like maybe he gets something out of some of these guys because like yeah, they're high CA. Like Morelli's high CA or PA rather. Garrison is high PA, not like crazy, but he's like 160. So
Fair.
maybe.
Morelli was a first round draft pick of mine that I forgot the rights to.
Ah,
And, I don't feel too bad because it didn't work out so well.
bust, big old bust. 2028 draft, classic.
Shit, yeah. All
Who
right.
is up next?
It's the Oilers and second last team.
They got ahead of themselves. They got ahead of
They got ahead of
themselves.
themselves, yeah. I mean, my model is a little bit higher on Edmonton than they've been so far this season, but it's higher as in like at finishing 64 points on the season rather than
Wow.
their current pace of 50. Um, they are a 27th offense, 25th defense, 14th in net. So, Murda's been okay, I guess.
Fine. Like he's like a 9-10. But they traded a fuck ton for him. They're gonna get their first back because it's top 10 protected.
Okay.
So it's next year first, 2 seconds, and Shibisov, who's like a good, solid prospect.
That's not the worst then. If a
It's
first a
it's
first and
not the
two
worst.
seconds for I mean, if
Young
you believe in
goalie who you're
Murda,
hoping.
right? I mean, he has
Yeah,
a McNamara comp, and McNamara was Price, so he has a good comp.
no, he's high. Like before this season, he was like right next to Vervoort in the
Okay.
prospect. So he's good. He's high PA, but
Right.
God knows with goalies, right? Sometimes they just don't.
Voodoo at best.
You know, I the I think the biggest issue with this team and what's really held them back this year is their forwards. They're all, especially their centers, are all defensive.
Ooh, that's never a good fit if they're all defensive.
Defensive, grinding, defensive. Ooh, Zhilkin isn't. He's an all around.
Which is better, but not much, right?
And the corpse of Elias Patterson, who is kind of dog shit now.
Yeah, falling apart.
Yep. This forward core is weak, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them sell, particularly from their defense. The guys like Bernard Docker, Broberg, Gooley, maybe. You just see what you can get for these guys. Svechnikov, maybe a couple of the wingers. Marjala is a legitimately valuable asset. Um, yeah, this is like a legitimately high value asset as Marjala. Pretty fucking good playmaking winger. God knows if you want to move on from them, though. The big things are the defensemen on this team. I think you just
They actually
sell
have a
Bernard
really
Docker.
good prospect pool, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, 100%. I mean, for
Like,
Vort, fucking immediately.
not only like Arsenault, for example, is 10th on my list, and he was drafted 13th overall last draft. and he's 10th
That
on
they
the list. You know, oof,
this is a good
that's
prospect
a good
pool.
prospect pool, right?
Harris is like the forwards in this prospect pool are fantastic. I think I'm bitching about their forward core. Well, that's taken care of in the
Right,
future,
in the future.
right? Um, so realistically, you end up with a high pick. You pick a defenseman because they don't really have a defenseman of the future in this draft. Well, if that's what you need,
That's what you need,
great.
right? It's there set up for you.
Yeah, like it's unfortunate timing for some, fortunate timing for others. It's fortunate timing for the Edmonton Oilers. Where you know what, fuck it, we're bad. Whatever, we get a high pick. We pick like the Pareko region or whatever. Just see how it goes.
Murda, of course, is their top AVR player. Not a surprise. Okay,
Yeah, he's been fine.
do they have any other picks besides the ones that no? They have like a fifth, and they have like no picks this year, like except
Yeah,
for the first that they'll
they
get. Right.
really went off this year. They went 100%. They're like all in, bitch. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
Which
Hey,
I
and the thing,
respect.
if you feel like your rebuild is done and you've done the building, it's just the waiting see part. Like I understand why I traded the picks
Oh,
because that pick's not going to help you anymore, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
All right, last team, right?
Toronto.
Toronto failing the ratio. Woo woo. Just so he has time to get it back on track, right?
Yes.
Currently expected to finish with 31 points. No, 40 points. Sorry, they're ranked 30th. 30th. Everything of theirs is 30th, except for their goaltending, which is 9th.
Yeah,
So
Brandon Elliott's like a 909 and
you know,
Zabornikov's like a 905.
granted, that's probably inflated simply because the team faces so many shots, right? So
Dude,
it values
what?
workhorse.
I don't know why this team is as bad as they are.
Elliott's. Someone should take Elliott from him and have one of the better goalies in the league for free. He's undervalued right now. He's got 909.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Someone
he's
should
gonna.
take him.
No, if he's on the block, I don't know what Toronto's plan. Presumably, I say presumably we're selling. And before the season, I was like, Macklin is like a legitimately good asset to move. If you move Macklin, you're missing the ratio. Like
Oh yeah,
100%.
you can't really sell. That's the issue.
Like, how is this team as bad as they are? I don't get it.
Billy Greenberg leading the team with 15 points. Ouch.
Oh, oh, they can't score.
Yeah, I'm looking at all their stuff. I mean, Malkin looks like a player who should be helping.
Macklin's good. I like Macklin, but like, I, I mean,
I tried to trade for Macklin back when I tried to trade for Geeky, actually.
that would have been good.
It was either Geeky or Macklin, and I got Geeky instead because you responded first, honestly.
I'm always ahead of things. Yeah, I legitimately looking at this roster, every single player on this fucking team is underperforming. Like,
Oh yeah,
what is this? Like,
Pelche still a Maple Leaf.
still fucking having the worst season of his career by far. Like, what is
Correct.
happening? Like, their whole team is underperforming.
Just
Fucking dude, I talked to Macklin so much in the preseason. He's been thoroughly mid. He's like a 60, 50 point guy every year. And this year he's on pace for like 40, maybe less.
it's very weird. I don't understand it honestly.
Like it's lines, maybe coach, maybe. This team
They
is
have
a dumpster.
Tarasenko, and Tarasenko led the Caps to a conference final. So like, yeah, I understand it's direct attacking rather than or direct style of play rather than like attractive attacking or whatever the meta is. He's
But
still
he's
like a wall of
decent.
great. Yeah, it shouldn't be the reason why you're dog shit. This dog shit.
Like they're they're gonna fucking miss ratio, and their prospect pool sucks. Maybe it's centers. Maybe it's just because I want to shout out Billy Forsell for being literally the worst player in the NHL this year. I'm not
5 for
joking.
7.
I'm not even being hyperbole. I don't think I've seen a worse player.
Not good. No. And I was
We were
upset
talking
when
about
I lost him on waivers. Honestly, actually.
We're talking about that idiot on Boston. Forsell's doing worse.
Right.
Like what?
I mean, their team's kind of bad, but they're not like they don't look that bad.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's my point.
their deep
How
core
are
could use
they?
some help. Poikinen is on their first pair with Pateman, I think. I mean, Poikinen
Yeah.
doesn't look good, honestly. I don't. Pateman looks good though.
It's
They
another
just
guy
have a
massively having the worst season of his career. Ash Pateman. What is his year?
Yeah.
they have a lot of like defensive guys, power forwards. Like I don't know, maybe it's just the mix is just bad. Like the way that the line's set up in combination with what they actually have available to put on the lines just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think they need like you hate to be in the position where you're buying to avoid the ratio. Vancouver was in that a few years back where they just needed a goalie so bad they had to buy. I feel like Toronto is that with like a forward that can score
Right.
Or,
at all.
yeah. Or just get a better defenseman. I think one of their defensemen really sucks.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that they got a weak defense too. Poikinen is pretty fucking bad.
They have 2+ players. I understand plus minuses and everything, but they have 2+ players, and one of them has only played 10 games. The other is Billy Greenberg with a +2.
Who's their best player this year that isn't a goalie, probably,
Yeah.
right? Like, dude,
15
I
points.
seriously look at the season Ash Pateman's having, and then look at his history. Like, what? How?
What about his
Right?
previous, right?
Like he's a 40-point defenseman every year, and
Minimum, right?
3 points in 22 games. He's been horrible. Like, what? What? He's not old. He's not decaying. He's still 20 speed. Like, what? I don't know. Something is. There's bad juju in Toronto. That's how I
Yeah.
describe it. And I, I don't know what the fix is. I wish they could sell Macklin so I could buy Macklin.
Back Macklin, yeah.
I want Macklin.
Oh, I
Name
understand.
us.
Also, their power play and penalty kill. Power play is 18%, and their penalty kill 73%.
Honestly, the power play's horrible. I'm pretty sure, but that penalty kill for how bad they are in the
It's
league,
true.
that's not even that bad. That's 21st. The power play, I think, is literally no.
It's
The
not
power play's
last.
24th. Like,
The Oilers have a 13% power play.
like I expected Toronto to be bad, right? Like I
didn't
you
have them
look at
making the
this team.
playoffs, right?
No, I had them like fighting for second last in division, second, third last, right? Like Ottawa last, Tampa, Toronto, kind of fighting. That's what I had in my mind. No, Toronto's just terrible. Like I don't know. There has to be.
There has to be something. I don't know what, but something in the water in Toronto, I suppose.
For sure, it's poison.
What is Steve Simmons, right?
Steve Dangle is fucking shooting himself right now in the year 2036.
Jeez.
Oh man, it's brutal.
All right, so that's Toronto's the last one. Look at that, we did it all in one night, one take. Ooh, this is a marathon.
4-hour one. Have fun.
Jesus, I would have started uploading this right away and won't be done until tomorrow or today.
Jesus Christ, it's 2 a.m. Oh my god.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for everyone for sticking around. If you stuck around this entire time, you guys are fucking troopers. If you did.
West Coast.
What's up?
West Coast.
West Coast for you. I
Fucker.
suppose. All right.